It's Eve 2020 on June 12th. I am Adderall here with some friends. All right, let's go through some of the statistics here. Eve Online Status Monitor. Getting up there. 33,800 was the top. Low was 19,500. That's a good low number. And right now we have about 30,000 people in EVE Online. Just looking at statistics here. By the way, if you need to look at statistics, what I do is go to .land.net, evemaps.land.net. And over here on the right, there's a little, top of the list says most violent systems 3 hours. And right next is a little icon of what's supposed to be a graph. And that's what you want to tap. That'll get you to the EVE Online statistics area. And this is where I read off most of the stuff that you've come to know from these shows. So most violent systems in the last 24 hours in 0-0 space. Not much going on in the last 3 hours. So was that 24? Wow. Not much going on in 24 hours, but Fade is first place with 617, Veil second place 680, and Delve in third 674. Looking for a way to, oh geez, that was a delayed reaction. All right. Remember not to do that again. Looking at Empire region, the Forge tops the list at 2,037, Lone Trek 1,859, and Black Rise 1,159. Most violent systems in 0-0. Let's come back to that. Oh no, we're going to do systems now in general. All the regions are done. So let me shut that off. Oh, we need to jump to 2. There, now you can see the talk bubbles. All right, now people can see who's talking if other people talk. Okay, so most violent systems. Bard, we're on there, just so you know. Most violent systems, ETAC 9 KD in Fade, 607 ships destroyed there. Second place is OSY TAC in Curse. That's nice to see Curse again. 295. Must have been a fleet fight. Haven't seen much out of Curse in ages. In third place, LXQ from Ethereum Reach, 191 ships destroyed. Most violent systems in low sec. Tama tops the list, 346. Ninamela, 326. And that's in second place. And then Rancer's back in Cinque Zone. 137 ships destroyed there. Finally, most violent systems in high sec. Jita tops the list at 592. Couster and Essence, 280. That's a starter system. Wonder what's going on there. And in third place, Killah from Verge Vendor, 259. I believe that's being attacked by Triglavians. I'm not sure. Okay, let's look over at the top SOV changes in the last 7 days. You have Legion of X-Death picking up 12 stations. And you have Dangerous Voltage losing 12. I believe that's an exchange. Dangerous Voltage, I believe, is defunct now. Yeah, they're down to 1 player. 1 corp, 1 player. They gave up Wicked Creek there. Well, let's double check that. So they lost 12 systems. I think they were Russian, so they might have gone to X-Death. Yeah, X-Death picked up Wicked Creek. So Fire Coalition moves into Wicked Creek. All right, back to the Alliance. Let's see, we were looking at Alliance Shuffle for Sovereignty. Nulli Secunda 10 systems. This is a surprise. Is it reconstituting? S2N, that's their ticker. Picked up a cache. What is going on here? Let's see who's in it. Oh, this is not your father's Nulli Secunda. Common Sense Ltd Gorga, that is named after the old leader, Gorga. Yeah, so that's 43. That is him. Let's see, some of the founding groups of Nulli. There it is. The 101st Space Marine Force was the founding group of Nulli Secunda. That was where ProGod was in. They came out of Providence, I believe. Actually, not Providence, but they were part of the holders. They were LFA, I think, which probably was Louisiana based, since that's where ProGod's from now that I think about it. Nomads, the Exploited, the Grey Council was in there. A lot of these corps actually merged into 0.34 or something. I forget the name of that coalition they merged into, but they're gone, basically. Sorry, just looking around for the information. But Nulli Secunda looks to be back with 74 characters. Looks like they're given some space in cache. They are probably part of Legacy, I imagine. Unless they're not, which would be really weird to have ProGod in Legacy or Test while Nulli exists. That would be really strange, since he was their main FC for a long time. Thanks, Bard, for the sub.
As far as I'm aware, they're not part of Legacy or Fire.
They're independent, right? Huh. We'll see how that goes. I wonder if that's even Gorga. I just wonder who resurrected Nulli, but it's interesting to see them on the board. I have a feeling I'm going to like this name. Yep. What could possibly go wrong? That's pretty funny. So Scalding Pass looks like they have some sovereignty there. What could possibly go wrong? It picked up 4 systems, dropped 1. Deepwater Hooligans. I think they're in the north. Picked up 2, lost 2. Let's have a look. Yeah, Vale. It's funny. Their logo looks a lot like. Oh, what was that alliance called? They were definitely. What were they called? I forget. Their logo looks a lot like a previous logo. Fraternity picking up 1 system, losing 3. Okay, let's look at alliance maneuvers here. As far as membership goes, Silent Company picked up another 300. That doesn't make news anymore since they're about 22,000 members big. It'd be interesting to see if their leader gets onto the CSM with that kind of a voting block. Question is, if he doesn't, what's that alliance really worth? So we'll see. Federation of, let's see here. My mouse got jammed. I hate Windows. Oh my God, I hate Windows. Just unlock my mouse, please. All right. Yeah, Federation of Mafias. We covered this already. Veil of the Silent. Looks like they collapsed. Or actually, Brave. I think their main corporation took off. Viny Vici, we saw them take a hit yesterday. I think they lost a Titan. Oh, or something, or a freighter. Yeah, they're not doing that bad. They're up. They're still up near 4,000. That's a lot of members. Wow. Well, that was fun. Let's see what's going on here. Killboard time. Just going to follow up here. Yeah, they lost. They didn't lose a Titan. No, they lost a 10 billion industrialist. Not the same thing at all. Okay, yesterday, Top Flight Logistics lost to Charon in Mammoth Domain. That's right near Providence. Charon is it's just a freighter worth 1 billion. So if it's a kill mail that came over 10 billion, there's a lot of cargo in there. Yeah, this is some guys like oof, that's a long list. About 8.5 billion in loot. Not loot, but that's what was destroyed. How much of that dropped? About half. I think we're going to see this again. Something's going on in Providence. There's some showdowns happening. I think you're seeing some. We've seen a freighter blow up before. I think we're going to have 2 today. Is Providence losing people who are evacuating? Here's the second one in Rahadalan in Devoid, one of my favorite systems. He went NPC, this guy. I looked him up. I don't think this is a fresh character that's never belonged to any corporation or alliance. He's just stayed in the NPC. So I don't know who that actually belongs to, but that was a 21 billion Providence. Let me make sure it's a clear distinction. I'm not talking about the group when I say Providence here. I'm talking about the ship. It's a freighter freighter Providence class freighter. There you go. So, but it is in the Providence area. Rahadalan is near Derelict in Providence, so it is down there. But I don't know who it belongs to. It's picked off by the Coconut Clan. Let's have a look at what it's carrying. Moon materials, reaction blueprints. I think the big scores here are moon materials. So you had, unfortunately, 20 billion and a half destroyed. So what dropped? Only like 500 million. That is terrible. Yeah, really nothing dropped. I mean, the only thing that dropped were a couple of specialized expanded car hole modules, which is something, but all that material is just gone. All that moon material. More scarcity. Yeah, and Triple V is back up here. They lost an obelisk in branch, so that makes their second hauler. 10 billion is for an obelisk. Let's see what was in it. Fortizar. Well, they just lost a Fortizar that was in probably something they were going to put somewhere. Or maybe they were taking it down and taking it back. I don't know. That's it. There's not much on the kill board at 10 billion and above. Let's look at 5 billion and above. Oh, Triglavian. Let's see. So there's also here on June 11th, Killah inside a trig space, taken out by Zvorg clayed, so he just took an expensive ship in, wasn't able to get out. The NPCs took him out. The initiative loses Ikatursa and Placid, worth 8 billion. That's a pretty good price tag for that. Taken out by some great taste. And Kaldari Provisions, that's an NPC corporation, losing Atira, which is a hauler, very cheap, 6 billion. Let's look at the cargo. This was taken out in the Citadel in Savala, so it's taken out probably on its way to the market or away from the market. Oh yeah, it's all in the cargo for sure. 500 billion, sorry, 5 billion. Looks like a ton of equipment with some industrial stuff in there, like this electronic conduit. Well, that's more like loot. Usually you don't, I don't really think you use that anymore to build stuff very well. There's very few occasions where you use that kind of thing to build it. I think it's building, it's equipment to build equipment is what it is. This looks like kind of a starters. I don't know, some interesting stuff in here like this guy's. Yeah, it's just a collection of industrial stuff. Question, where can I see the CSM results? You can see them today at 1900 on CCP's Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/CCP 1900. I'll do a live announcement. After that, I believe candidates are going to end up going to Pando stream, which is Pando, ZEH_PANDO. I believe that's the station. So that's what it is. You didn't miss it. Not announced yet. We may kind of roll into that, so we'll be here until those are announced, and then we'll dump into that feed and watch it live. All right, that's it for the statistics. What do you guys have?
Well, be careful if you're heading towards Jeddah. One of the systems close to Jeddah is currently under invasion.
Oh, which one?
That would be the system of Sakenta.
2 jumps out, I believe.
Let's have a look. Is there a setting for invasions on the map?
I don't actually know.
I thought there would be.
Yes, there is. It's under NPC activity. You can color by invasion.
There we go. Oh, you can only use one at a time. That's a bummer. Yeah. So Sakenta. It's not on the road to Jeddah, but it's 2 jumps out, right?
Yeah, it looks to be a dead end pocket.
So let's have a look at Triglavian invasions here. So you can see a lot of them are in Amarian space. In fact, most of them. They don't extend into nullsec or outlaw space. So Canid, basically it is, well, now it's Sync Liaison too, and I see some in Placid. And even some obviously in Kaldari space, because this one's in Kaldari space that's 2 jumps away from Jeddah. Nulvala under attack. That's a big system. It's a border system to northern nullsec regions. Nulvala is actually... Let me put on all the sticks or the wires. Hold on. Huh, all the lines are on. Why aren't they showing? That's funny. You select all the lines and they all disappear. Now I know. There, but I hope this lights up well enough. Let me scoot in there. As you can see, this is it is in the forge, right? But these dotted lines here means it's going to a different region. So that region up north would be Vale. No, it would be Tribute. And over here, this is going to Vale. So this area here is very important for northern transit. If you're coming from Vale or Tribute, you're likely to go through this area, and Nulvala is a system you're likely to go through in order to fly to Jita. So that's very interesting. It's a very interesting system. Yeah, and as Nick says, it's already a low-sec system, so who knows what security will happen there. Remember, the security system, this is interesting, low-sec still has security. It's just slow security, and I don't think they have gate guns or station guns, right?
Low sec still has gate guns activating if you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing.
Are they just slower? Or maybe it doesn't have Concord, but it has gate guns.
There's no Concord. There's no Concord. There's no Navy police. But gate guns, yeah, they're still on point.
That's the difference. Okay, I had it reversed. So this would, I mean, if successful, if Triglavians take over Nulvala, it may become a system without gate guns or station guns. Other than that, it would be the same. Oh, and you wouldn't take a standings hit if you still do that in low sec. I'm not sure.
You still take standing hits if you go after people that you're not at war with, but it's not as severe as in high sec, and you don't have Concord or police forces showing up to ruin your day.
Right. So Vaheta as well. It looks like it's being attacked. Trigravian's getting busy.
Matter, a short question. Can we show the new income systems on the map?
You can. I think it only shows the invasions or the attempted invasions, but let's look. See, under NPC activity, I only see Triglavian invasions and incursions. So I don't think you can see... I don't think there's... I haven't heard of anything that allows you to see the faction war map for Edencon or Triglavians. At least on this map here. You might find it on the agency. Well, this is going to just list, but it doesn't list Edencom secured areas. It's only invaded areas that have reached a level of liminality. Oh, Edencom Fortress. Okay, so it does list Edencom. Damn, that's a lot of secured space. Let's go to 1. Wirro, this is near Providence. Let's go there. Well, all it does is list it, and then you can set destination down here. So I just set destination. I see. So the invasions, the red dots, are where battles are taking place. It doesn't tell you who's winning. So it could be Edencom, it could be Triglavian, but that's where the conflicts are, if you want to get involved. Yeah, but I don't think... I guess the incursions, so let's go back to that. Triglavian invasion is where the conflict is. It's not where Triglavians are, and Edencom is not. Let's put it that way.
There's a new invaded system.
You need to speak up. You're quiet.
There's a new invaded system.
Which one?
It is 2 jumps from Jita. It is Sakenta, and it is the first 01 blue that we've had, and we don't know if the Triglavians want the 01 blues, so we are going to find out now. So the Kybernauts are pushing it. It's leaning towards first liminality right now, but it's not there yet. It's a 1.0 system. There hasn't been an invasion higher than 0.7 so far. So this is the first 1.0. It's the first 01 blue, and it's 2 jumps from Jita, literally. It's a dead end too, so it's not like that impactful to people.
Right.
It's just going to be like if this turns liminal, then this is going to be like a content pit. 2 jumps from Jita. That's not in anybody's way. Like no one goes through there. It's not low sec, so there's no, nobody uses this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really good one for it.
For testing, yeah. Here's another system I think is pretty important. It's in Sync Liaison, but Carrou. This is super important because this is 1 jump out of Igniton, which is where it's a huge logistics hub. You can tell because Tranquility Trading Tower just put in a new keep star in that system. It's only it's a low sec system, so it's not notable other than that it belongs to Tranquility and it's a trade hub. But this Carrou is very important because it is one of the 2 low sec systems that bridges the Forge with Sync Liaison. As you can see, you travel through Carrou to Igniton and then over to Leon Ostra, then Perimeter, and then on to Forge. So you're talking about 4 jumps out, really. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, Ian Orsta is right. It's right there. Like this is all very close to Jita.
Yeah, this is 4 jumps from Jita, but this is actually an important system for traveling through. Although it is already low sec, so it's always been dangerous anyway.
Yeah, so the only difference, so if Carrou is pushed into liminality, the only difference would be that the security status hits go away.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about that, and that just means that the gate guns disappear, right? And also the consequences for Brawl.
Yeah, the security status hits. Like if you attack people, you can shoot and pod people unprovoked, and it will not affect your security status, and there will be no gate guns.
Yeah.
I think they do set up triglavian guns
as
near the
long
gate,
as it
though.
as long as it remains low sec. But if it is pushed into final liminality and null sec, then the gate guns will go away, and so will the security status hits. So I don't know if it would go from 0.4 to null for first liminality, but it would for final.
Let's take a look at how active those systems are. So the first system is, what's that one called? Sakenta?
Sakenta, Sakenta.
All right, here's the forge. So it's right here on the, if you're looking at the Dotland map, it's on the far left.
So Nick Bison is saying that even after final liminality, Vale still has Triglavian gate guns.
Oh, okay.
I also don't know why people are calling it luminality when it's liminality.
I know. I've done it. It's probably because I've done it. Bad example. I'm trying
No,
to...
it's not just you. It's like across the board. People are not reading the word. You're just like
I can read the
fill in
word.
blanks.
I just don't get, like, I'm unable to pronounce it correctly. Like it just doesn't come out right for me.
Okay, so what we're seeing here is that system, Sakenta in the Forge, which is 2 jumps out of Jita, has about 228 jumps an hour, 3,400 per day. That is a lot. And this must be because it's under invasion, but I wonder if we can get historic information on that. Well, not on this board we can't, but I think it's a dead-end system. It probably got no traffic before. There's no reason to fly in there except there is a building facility or an NPC building facility. Might have been a way to live near Jita without, I guess, without having too much of a problem, but it doesn't seem like it was that busy a system. Now, Carrou, on the other hand, if we look and go to perimeter, off perimeter is Ian Ostra. This is the beginning of Cinque Liaison, so that's the border region. You having Neuten, which is the first low-sec region, which means that jump freighters can actually jump into this system and be 3 jumps away from Jita. That's why it's such a big trade hub or logistics hub for the mostly northern groups, but also, Placid Syndicate.
What's interesting is, so you saw the system Carrou shows up on the map when you select Triglavian invasions under NPC activity, right? But if you open up the agency and you look through all of the systems, it's not on that list. It's not. So right now there's no escalating liminality. There's no redoubts and bulwarks. There's recon. There's final liminality, and there's Edencom fortresses. And Carrou isn't in any of those categories. So what you're seeing here is what's called a minor victory, and I'm not sure that people are aware of this invasion state. A minor victory is an invasion that was pushed from stellar reconnaissance for one side, but didn't progress for one reason or another that we don't necessarily know why. But it's called a minor victory, and what happens there is that the invasion remains in that system for some period of time, and there's just like kind of low-level activity, low-level skirmishes. There's some combat sites there. Those are actually good systems to grind in if you wanted to grind these sites. If you wanted to grind standings, if you want to grind money, then going to these minor victory systems is a very good place to do that. And they won't show up in agency. They will only show up on the map or if you go to the system.
There's some other ones in here that are notable, like Faswiba. Also near Providence. Yeah, check that out. That's another system. I think it used to be a staging system. It was a low sec bordering high sec, which allowed you to get to Amar I think that's why it was used so much. Yeah, because you're like 4 jumps out of a Mar. So it was a good jump freighter route. So they're putting some stuff in. Oh, BK actually said something funny. He said maybe these low sec areas would be safer now that they have Triglavians as the local authorities as opposed to pirates.
So in chat, someone wanted to know about the system-wide bonuses. The system-wide bonuses are there because of the stellar observatories that go up. If you destroy the stellar observatory, then the system-wide weather goes away. You spawn it by going to the stellar fleet deployment site. The stellar fleet deployment site shows up at I believe the beginning of phase 2, like once you push it out of reconnaissance.
Where does it?
Yeah.
Let's see. Where does it show you the state of the place? Is it over here in the Edencom Fortress?
Yeah.
Description.
Yeah.
Okay.
The state is in it shows it's whichever button it's under in the agency is the state that it's in.
Oh, okay.
And then it shows you. It says, if you click Edencom Fortress, it'll be Edencom Fortresses.
That's the state. Okay, Edencom Fortress.
Yeah. So
I thought
if you
they were
go
different.
up to your Oh no! If you click, you got to go back to the main. You see the navigation at the top
Mm-hmm.
where it says home Triglavian invasion, Edencom Fortress. Yeah. So if you go back, here's all your big buttons, and this will show you the different states of systems in final liminality, systems in first or second, systems in reconnaissance, systems in redoubt or bulwark, systems in fortress. But this will not show you the minor victories.
I got it. So this is a scale. This is a scale from left to right. Okay. Right being the safest, left being the unsafest if you're a typical capsuleer.
Yeah, so someone is talking about the Sinojammers. What we've seen is Edencom NPC forces are going, around, and it appears to be from systems that they near systems that they control, and they are dropping Sinojammers in low sec. So these are systems that have always, that were not fought over, systems that were not invaded, systems that have always been low sec, and Edencom is going in and dropping in Sinojammers, which is preventing players from jumping through, with their capitals and their industrial sinos for that matter. So jump freighter pilots are very upset about this. So basically, if you don't like Sinojammers in your random low-sec systems, then support the Triglavians because they're not dropping Sinojammers. Edencom is.
Yeah, but those Sinojammers are destructible.
Yeah,
that is important to say.
So they're destructible, but firstly, they like tripled or quadrupled their EHP recently, and they respawn very, very quickly.
Did you guys see the one as well that spawned on a drifter wormhole?
Yeah, I saw that.
Describe that, please.
There was on grid. There was a drifter wormhole right by a Jove Observatory and an Edencom Sinojammer right there. So if you went there to kill it, then there was a good chance that the drifters would just get you.
Yikes!
With their doomsdays and stuff, it was hilarious. But yeah, so there's a lot of people who don't realize what's going on here. Edencom is not this isn't good guys versus bad guys. The Triglavians are not here to kill, or they're not here to destroy. They're here to escape the abyss. The resources are slim there. They can't live there easily. They're trying to establish a foothold. They're not trying to take over everything. They are only aggressive in terms of their concept of proving. They're not trying to dominate in any way. It's not really a good versus bad. However, Edencom and Concord are literally designed to police and control and keep a leash on capsuleers. That's in the Concord Charter. They're there to support the empires, the old empires that couldn't stand against us if there weren't police stopping us. It's right in the charter. It's there to prevent Imperiums from taking over.
Yeah.
So, Concord is not our friend, and the Triglavians are not our enemy.
That's interesting. The ethics of who to fight for and stuff. And you're not necessarily fighting for the survival of the human race, right? If you're fighting for Edencom.
Right, and let's talk about no in-universe stuff, no lore, no RP, just straight mechanics and gameplay. Edencom are dropping Cynojammers, and the Trigs are not. I think this is a clear choice.
Well,
They are overstepping their mandate.
let me pull you back from the just the straight up game mechanics and why you would fight for one side or the other, and go back to the lore for just a second. But are the Triglavians ancestors of the human race as well? Not ancestors, but
So it has been stated many times by CCP that EVE Online is the story of people being shitty to people. All of the
I don't think they put it that
things
way,
that you
but-
see. Yeah, well, I mean, almost directly. I don't think they used the word shitty, but they pretty much said that almost word for word. All of the intelligence that we see here, all of the intelligent beings and life forms are human-derived. The AI came from human work. The Jove are humans.
The humans.
Triglavians, the Jove came from Earth, just like the rest of us.
That's
through the
right.
Eve Gate. The
That's
Jove
what
are the
people
last
forget.
ones through. Yeah, and the Triglavians and the Sleepers and the Drifters and all of these things are human-derived. This is people being crappy to people. That is the story of EVE Online.
Right. So that's what I wanted to emphasize. When you think I want to fight for humans, not aliens. They're all human descendants.
Yeah.
All these things. So
The
the
Triglavians are humans.
they just advanced in different ways, developed different technologies, and culturally
In fact,
had
they're
different
refugees. They literally were either forced into or escaped into the abyss thousands of years ago, and we don't know why. But they don't like it there. And in the one appearance that Delegate Zero has done recently, because he doesn't really show his face, he pretty much directly said that they lost their way out, and now they have found it again. They couldn't get out, and now they can, and they don't want to be there. Abyss is a harsh place with few resources. They pretty much live in their world arcs, these city ships. They want out. They want, New Eden is paradise to them with all of these resources. They're just trying to survive.
That's funny. I like this. Diasa says, "No, refugees do not negotiate."
Refugees who don't know. He said refugees who don't negotiate.
Oh.
But in fact, they do. In fact, they do negotiate. They are a survival of the fittest philosophy. They talk about proving constantly. They literally invited us to fight them. They created a whole arena inside Abyss to fight, to show, fitness and worthiness. Internally, the Clades fight each other to see what is the right way forward, what is the strong way forward, what's going to work. Yeah.
Sorry, I think CCP did a very good permaban song on it a couple of years ago, right? Killing is just a means of communication.
Yeah, there you go. Precisely.
That's the Triglavians all over.
Yeah, absolutely. They're all about proving. They prove, they prove ship designs. They prove social concepts. They test things against each other and see what works. This is, they're not here to destroy or conquer. They're just here to see what's best.
Here to see what's best.
They are an extreme fitness organization. That by the way is why if you actually look up the Triglavian Collective in game and you pull them up, you can see that it's a faction with corporations that are a part of it, and the 4 corporations that are a part of it are the 3 Clades, the Svarog, the Veles, and the Perrin Clade, and the Convocation of Triglav, which the full name is the Convocation of Triglav Outside the Struggle. And again, Delegate Zero pretty much defined the struggle for us and the Convocation of Triglav Outside the Struggle. He said that they recognize that there is a need for concordance and coordination that is outside of their regular struggle of proving, of combat against each other, and they have to come together and figure out what works. So that was what the convocation is for. So there's some pushback. There's some pushback. I think it's actually just Nick, but he says that the people need to hear the EdenCom stance. So if anyone has the EdenCom stance, I'd like to hear it, because I mean, I don't know what kind of leg they have to stand on, but
Filthy
if you have,
invaders bad.
yeah, if you have an actual rhetoric, I'd like to hear it, but I don't really think that EdenCom has anything to say other than we were here and we want to keep it.
I mean, there is the side where... Oh, sorry, Matt. You go.
One more thing. Now we go back to gameplay real quick. EdenCom is putting in jammers, so you can't jump into those systems. So if EdenCom takes over a low-sec system, people can't jump into there anymore?
They can still use regular gates. It's just that they can't light
But they
regular
can't
sign-up
a jump freighter in there, for instance.
I think people are taking this a little seriously. So Deer Hunter Zod says, sounds like that guy asking for rhetoric already has a closed mind. But like, you should know this is all story and lore and RP and like fight what you want. But like pure gameplay, it's Sino-Jammers versus no Sino-Jammers. That's pretty much it.
I like this view though. EdenCom is protecting you from dirty cap droppers. That comes from J-Dog. That's pretty funny. That's a funny way of looking at it. If you're a low-sec guy and you don't want capitals, then maybe you want to help out EdenCom. Interesting choices.
No, I said, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so you ask for a response, then say they don't have one. Yeah, I say, I don't think you have one, but I'm asking. Anyone is free to speak up and tell me what EdenCom has to offer.
Well, to offer to whom?
To anyone. Like, why should capsuleers, players of EVE so why should in-universe capsuleers or out-of-universe players of EVE Online support EdenCom? Let's have some reasoning.
Okay, well, you can go the humanitarian path.
Humanitarian.
They're abducting humanitarian. They're abducting baseliners, non-capsuleers, experimenting on them, throwing them in hostile environments, and God knows what other effects are. Just look what they're doing at the Sun in Verifos, and you can clearly see that's not going to be healthy for the system and the people living within it.
I like humanitarian. Does that mean you only eat people?
Not my main language. Like I do have the occasional slip.
Oh, I like it. I think you've invented something new. Let's see. There's a fight.
But okay, let's take a different angle. If you're really so against certain limitations from from Concord or the empires, the enemy you know versus the enemy that you know absolutely nothing about, with regard to objectives, range, and anything else that they can throw at you.
Yeah, so Dutch Gunner here is a member of our Arataka Research Consortium, and they are supporting EdenCom. So I would definitely like to hear his point of view here. And I know that. So
we made several posts. Like we made several posts, and we made it clear that we're from our point of view, finding a solution through diplomacy is infinitely more preferable, but so far all attempts at communications have not resulted into anything substantial. So because of the potential risk with people living in on planets, on outposts, in stations, in ships that are not piloted by capsuleers, for their safety, that's why ARC is siding with EdenCom.
So in universe, people are talking about how the Triglavians are abducting entire planetary colonies and experimenting on the residents, on the people, the baseliners. But as a capsuleer, it is kind of your choice whether or not to care about baseliners.
Yeah, but if this is one argument I absolutely love, with people going, "No, we're capsuleers, we don't need them." Who crews your ship? who
Oh
handles
no,
all of your
we need them.
real tasks.
I just don't care about them.
And I just gonna take a page from Vampire the Masquerade. Like, sure, like if it comes to blows, Capsuleers have a lot more firepower and a lot more punch than non-Capsuleers. However, the non-Capsuleers have the numbers, because the requirements needed that to be met to start training to become a Capsuleer are so severe that you're talking about a tiny percent, like a really tiny amount of the total population within Eve.
Yeah, Capsuleers are really the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, and those are the ones that make it.
I think the base requirement is you have to have a perfect genome profile. You need to be at the top 2 percentile of I think it's a higher degree of education, and you need insane amounts of money. So you're really talking about a tiny part of the population within New Eden that is able to go start at the start line, and then all the training, all the other things, people getting cold feet, or just not making the cut. Like, you're talking about an insanely small group, and yeah,
Sorry,
you're the elite
Dutch.
for a reason. Capsuleers are the elite for a reason.
Yeah, Dutch. And then at the end of that, there's the not so uncommon event of you getting wetlock, which is where you are just stuck in your brain.
Yeah, mind lock is
Oh,
super
mind lock.
scary.
That was it. Sorry. Mind lock. Yes.
You conflated the story as the Jovian Wetgrave.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
but
what that's just to tell the viewers what that is. If you read the story, the Jovian Wetgrave, it talks about the introduction of the capsule initially when it was given to the Caldari by the Jove, and essentially, mind lock is when you have an improperly trained Capsuleer, when they disconnect from the ship, then they lose all ability to, for their brain to communicate with their body. So your eyes are open and you're conscious and you hear and you see. You can't even do so much as turn your eyeballs.
it's an extreme case of sleep paralysis, I think. But it even goes further, because they even explain as to why it's happening, where they say you need a massive amount of training, because the moment you connect with the ship, you need to have your mind is so accustomed to say, okay, this is my body, I know how it operates. But then all of a sudden, you're no longer in touch with your body, you're in touch with the ship. And that transition back and forth is extremely taxing for the mind. And not everybody is able to do it.
Yeah, and I do just want to roll this back for a second. Like, I was saying a lot of things earlier, but like, you guys should all know this is all like, it's fun and gameplay and whatever. And like, Dutch here is my buddy and we're cool, and I don't dislike him because he's fighting for Eden Call or anything. Like, just before it got like too hot, because I saw the chat getting a little bit hot.
Yeah, okay. For me, it's like you have a choice, and no matter what side you choose on, you got your reasoning. And I'm just going to take their approach as it's roleplay. So that's what the decision you make with your character. That has nothing to do with how you are as a player.
Yeah, when I take a step back and I look at it from an in-universe or out-of-universe perspective, it obviously there's benefits either side, but it just seems to make sense to attempt to support the Dragovians. It's just more interesting, isn't it?
I don't know. Like I said, it all comes down to which narrative do you want to use? What narrative do you want to spin to defend the choice that you make if people call you out on it? Like, why do you make that choice? And it can be role play with lore, or it could just be a thing like, well, this seems like more fun, because you don't have to be fully committed to role play to make your decision on which site you want to experience the content on.
It should be noted that I don't think that that the Triglavians should be handed every single solar system that they want. Like I don't want the removal of high sec, or removal of low sec, the removal of Concord, all this stuff. Like that wouldn't make sense. But to have a good number of systems that are permanently inhabited, owned by the Triglavians, where the security has changed, seems like that would make an interesting EVE Online of tomorrow.
I like that. EVE Online of tomorrow. All right. Did you guys get that out of your system? Are you?
Don't worry. I don't feel attacked or anything at all. This is just, it's a conversation. No more, no less.
Yeah, no, we're all good.
Yeah. All right, good. We have a special guest in here with us, a Spanish speaker.
Hola.
Ahí está.
I was trying to understand what the hell are you saying, but
We need a translator.
and I don't know, and I don't speak English properly. I'm completely lost. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
I think it it was interesting. You were discussing about who the hell are these guys, and they are not bad. They are not as bad as they seems to be. I think I got that.
That's a
You
lot.
you got the idea.
Yeah,
So-
more or less.
This is Rebel. She's a new player at EVE Online from Spain, I believe, a Spanish speaker.
Yeah,
Obviously speaks
from Spain.
from Spain. What can you say? What part of Spain, or is that too private?
No, I can. Well, the thing is that I usually say that I'm from the world because I was born in Salamanca. I've been living in Madrid, and now I grew up in Madrid, and now I'm living in Burgos. That they are
Burgos.
different places from Spain. Yes, Burgos is a small
Yeah.
province.
It's beautiful. I've been to Burgos. I have a friend in Burgos.
Really?
In Vitoria. In Vitoria.
It's near. It's near. It's not the same province, but it's near, really near, 1 hour by car. Yeah,
So-
and also I've been living abroad, so I'm Spanish. My heart is Spanish, but I'm from the world.
Citizen of the world.
Yeah.
Well, it's so good to have you on the show. Finally, right? This is the first time I talk to you. Y podemos hablar en español, pero todo el mundo no va a entender. Solamente tú.
Eso me temo. I'm afraid that. So you keep going, keep talking
Okay.
in English. I will try to catch all I can. Thank you.
All right, good. Yeah, you did good so far. You did very well so far.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's funny. We'll make a new show called Spanish and Stations. By the way, just
Why not talking in Spanish?
talking in Spanish? Yeah, that's hilarious. Salamanca is the most beautiful city in the world, where she was born, and then Madrid's an awesome city. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. And then Burgos is actually on the pilgrimage. If you're going from France over to San Sebastian, you would probably pass through Burgos. It's like one of the bigger cities in the northern region. So all interesting cities. You're from great places.
Yeah, the thing is that Burgos is too cold. I'm not used to this cold. Today we were we are supposed to reach to be near the summer, but we have 9 degrees. 9. Come on, this is not summer.
I know.
But, yeah, it's
That's 9
beautiful
Celsius.
city.
Yeah.
Yeah, I moved here in October, so I'm
you just got
still
there.
now in the city. Yeah, I'm still now in the city. Yeah.
Oh, good.
I think the visibility for Spanish speakers is going to be very important. It's a critical issue for EVE Online. There's too many Spanish speakers that are too disenfranchised because the game doesn't support them well. I mean, English and Spanish have an extremely close relationship. Like, I'm living in New York, so like half of the people here are speaking Spanish anyway. You know, and if you
really?
live in North America, then half of the continent is speaking Spanish anyway. So like, why don't we just get over it and put Spanish in the game?
So a lot of people in New York.
That in New York, I've been told that in New York is easy living for Spanish speakers. because wherever you go, you can find a Spanish speaker everywhere.
Oh yeah, I lived in Washington Heights in Manhattan for a good number of years, and that entire area is filled with people that are bilingual or people that literally were born in New York, in the United States, and speak only Spanish because they that's how they were raised. So I mean, like, let's get over it and put Spanish in the game.
I've been told that Spanish sounds beautiful. I don't know, because it's my tongue. I was born here, and I don't know. But I've been told that it sounds beautiful. I don't know.
It does.
For me, really.
Yeah,
me,
absolutely.
It's easy. English is more fluid. I don't know how to say. It's not so strong. So for me, hearing in English is more beautiful than Spanish. But
oh, really? You think English is more beautiful than Spanish because it's foreign to you?
It's softer. I mean, we have the R. This is a strong word, and we have and I think it's even easier than Spanish. Spanish, I think, is very complicated to learn.
Yeah.
Not as much as German, but yes.
Yeah. It's interesting. I had the same impression about German being very hard and French being very soft. And then I really listened to it, and French is very hard. And German has it flows very well. It can be very soft as well. So it might have just been the people I was talking to.
Yeah.
Hey guys, out there in chat, let's put down what languages you speak, just in abbreviations. ENG for English. I want to see if we have different languages, people with different languages out there. Oh, Rebel, I think Spanish is, when you hear that Spanish accent, especially from Spain, it's just very beautiful in English for English speakers.
Yeah, and you know that we are Spanish when we are talking in English. You know that we are Spanish because we still have our accent.
You still have what?
My accent. I mean, I have a Spanish accent even when I talk in English.
Yeah, but it's good. You don't want to lose that. It's got a lot of charm to it. It makes it sound better. Because I lost my accent a long time ago. Spanish was my first language, actually, until I was all of 2 years old. I'm just kidding. Till I was like 4 or 5, 6 or whatever.
Yeah, you really lost it.
Yeah, I totally lost it. When I talk in Spanish, they're like, "You sound like a surfer." So yeah, it's gone. All the charm is gone. All right. Well, it's so nice to have you here, Rebel. Stick around. Let's talk some more about EVE Online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will stay here. I will try to catch the conversation. I will try to learn about you, and Eve. Now I'm more interested. I've been lost, and now I found it again, and I found interesting again. I'm really happy here.
Have we linked her up with Juvenius?
Sorry, didn't hear you.
Yeah, we have you worked with Juvenius Draconi?
Did you ask if I work with Juvenius?
Yeah.
No.
Too much slang.
No.
Well, he doesn't.
Oh, sorry, no.
He runs.
No, he speaks Spanish, but we don't have any contact. No.
That sounds like a link that should be.
He's not the only Spanish speaker either. There's other ones.
But he's very visible. He comes around here. Runs a Spanish-speaking organization. Runs.
Yeah, I know it, but no, I am my own. I'm not. I don't know how to say it. I don't know, supporting anyone. Not.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, there's a little confusion. But Rebel, you are. Where did you end up? Because you're a new player. First of all, you're a Spanish speaker. I think you came to the game alone, right? Or did somebody tell you about EVE?
Somebody told me about EVE. Actually, I was playing another game that it's totally different to this one. It is called Forge of Empires. I don't know. It's really simple game, and you have to build your cities and go around the ages, and that's it. And then another player took me about this, about Eve, and I tried. I didn't like it because I don't know why, but it made me feel sick. You know, I didn't know how to handle the ship, and everything was going around and around, and I was thinking, no, this is not my game. And after 2 years, I tried it again, and here I am.
That is a very
You made it.
a lot of players, no matter what language they speak, will have to try Eve. I don't know what the statistic is, but it's anywhere from 2 to 4 times before it sticks.
But I think it's interesting that she said she got dizzy. Like the ships made her dizzy because the orientation and the commands are so. It's difficult to just orient yourself. That you.
I
The
think.
game has. Go ahead, Bart.
Sorry, Fonso. Sorry, you go first, then I'll.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying the game has traditionally been very bad at getting players comfortable in space. The new tutorial, the new player experience that is currently being tested, is very good at that, and I've kind of given this spiel a couple of times. But the new tutorial is made in like the Halo Combat Evolved style for anyone who has played that game. When you first start up that game when you start a fresh game, your character can't do anything. You just see the screen, and they introduce the interface elements and the controls one tiny piece at a time. Now look up, now look down, now look left, now look right, now push this button, that button, the other button. And they show you, they light up, they turn on the different parts of the interface one at a time. And the new tutorial in Eve is doing the same thing. They show you each thing. They're like, this is an overview. It's over here. This is what it's for. And they show you each individual piece. So the game is getting much better at this over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what I was just going to say is when it comes to motion sickness or dizziness or whatever it is you find, I've always found that the camera shake and bob, if you turn that off, does sometimes help.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that really sets me up.
Yeah, there's 2 settings that I turn off immediately every single time. And the camera shake and the bob and all that stuff is like...
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, I didn't want to embarrass Rebel. You did very well. I just threw you in the spotlight there, and you were very friendly. So good job.
Thank you. And I don't know how to say. Nunca estaré suficientemente agradecida.
Dímelo otra vez.
Nunca estaré suficientemente agradecida. I
Oh.
don't know how to translate it into English.
Yeah. I think you mean like you can't thank me enough or something for the encouragement.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think what Rebel popped into Talking in Stations a while ago and was in the Spanish channel, and I, of course, wanted to meet Spanish speakers and found her there, and she was very friendly, and so we got. I checked in on her occasionally to see how she was doing, and she had gotten discouraged at one point, or something wasn't working, and so I encouraged her. I don't remember what I did. Did I introduce you to somebody, or just encourage you?
I actually found my nowadays corporation. I'm really happy there.
Good. So I helped find you. Yeah. I helped you find a home.
Yeah. So I really thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So I'm glad it worked, and I'm glad you found a home. That's like the most important thing for Eve to play this. Is you need to find a good group.
I really appreciate it.
It's been shown again and again that player retention largely depends on linking a player with a group.
Oh, and can you tell us what group you're with, or will that get them war decked? Will that get them in trouble? It might.
Sorry.
Estaba preguntando si debes decir en qué grupo estás.
Ah,
What-
sí, sí. I mean, screwdrivers. Screwdrivers is a Spanish corporation too. We have Spanish and American people there, and now we belong to fraternity, but they moved when I arrived the corporation. Before that, they were in darkness.
Mhm.
I'm not really. I don't know really about policy politics,
Yeah.
but I'm moving with them. The main thing to me is they stay comfortable. I don't know how to
Yeah.
explain it.
No. That you stay with them, and they're going to go wherever they go. They were in darkness before, which was in the north. That group was under a lot of pressure because of a war. That war was won by fraternity, really. So they moved over to fraternity, and now they're probably pretty happy in fraternity. So you're probably up north on the map, right? Are you living in the north?
Yeah, well, Oasa is in the north. I think yes, north
What's
east.
your region? Yeah,
Oasa.
northeast. Oasa. Okay, so you moved
Oasa.
into fraternity. Very good.
Yeah.
I used to
Yeah.
live in Oasa.
What?
I used to live in Oasa too. That's where I would do some work.
Really?
Yeah.
You like it? Did you like it?
It's far away from everything, so it's calm.
Yeah. I'm explorer, so I move in every day. I'm not living actually in Oasa because I'm moving, so
Yeah.
I don't mind the place. To me, it's the same one on another. I don't mind.
Yeah. That's good. So you're exploring. See, I told
Oh.
you there are people who play this game that don't want to do combat all the time. They want to enjoy the environment and explore and see things and discover things.
Yeah. I like it. When I fly solo, I'm exploring. When I go with my crew, my group, we go to do PvP with small gangs, and I don't like alliance battles because they are crowded and my computer go too slow, too slow. So no, I don't like it. I'm not used to go to these kind of battles, so big battles.
So you like the smaller ones?
Yeah, I die fast, but I enjoy them more.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so stick around, Rebel. I'm glad you're here. You know, it's a special day because in 2 hours or 3 hours, in 3 hours, we're going to find out who the Council of Stellar Management
A little under 2.
winners are. Yeah.
Great.
Sorry.
I was wondering when was it. So today, great.
Yes, today in
I'm
2 hours?
Yeah, an hour 40 minutes.
Wow. Well, we could stream all the way up until then and then raid them. That's pretty soon. Yeah, so no, you didn't miss it. The winners are not announced yet. They're announced in about an hour and 40 minutes.
Dutch can tell you how many seconds before the.
No. I'm not keeping track that hard.
You got a countdown timer ready for when you go on stream later, haven't you?
No, I don't, because it's not a given that I'm going to be on the stream.
I know, I'm taking the mic.
Are you nervous?
I'm starting to get a little nervous because, yeah, I am very curious to find out how I did.
Well, that's a good sign. That means you think you have a chance if you're nervous. The people who are totally relaxed, no, there's no way they made it.
Or no, they had so many votes that
Or
a given,
Yep.
right? Yeah. I will say, just a quick question on this, Matt. Sorry. I was
Sure.
thinking about it earlier, but would this be the first year that we're going into where the winners didn't know ahead of time, potentially? Because typically when it's FanFest, they knew before the presentation.
Is that true? I think last year they didn't.
Okay, yeah, last year they wouldn't have. I think typically with fan fests, though, they did. So maybe second.
Right. Because they were at FanFest, they might have been. I don't remember when they stopped doing that, but last year there wasn't a FanFest. There was Eve North, I believe, is when people were announced. That was in Toronto. And I'm pretty sure they were all in the audience finding out at the same time as everybody else.
Okay.
But that's a really good question because they don't know, and they won't know until it's announced on screen.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of, as I say, different to how it used to be. I'll rephrase it to used to be, where it'd be they knew but weren't allowed to tell people.
Yeah. And I think that's a more civilized way to do it because I thought Eve North was high stakes. You're sitting in the audience, and what if you don't win? Then everybody's just, for the rest of the night, it's going to be saying, I'm sorry you didn't win. And all night long, you'll be reminded that you didn't win. But we'll see. Do you guys want to make predictions? This could be fun. Could be not so fun.
Not a clue. So I'm not going to risk any predictions yet.
There's also the fact of if I say what I want to say, I fear I jinx it, and a certain person I want to get a seat doesn't get a seat.
Are you superstitious?
Oh, I don't know. It's just one of those things of it may well happen that.
Yeah. All right. Let's figure out some things to. Oh, go ahead.
No, there's just way too many unknowns and variables to like, unless you have a way to keep track, like this is how the voting's gone, this is how many people are guaranteed to have voted this way. There's just no way of knowing how it's going to turn up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's go back to this battle that happened just recently. Let's look at it. Give me a second to bring it up. All right, here comes small battle.
Anyway, I gotta go for now. Sorry.
Okay.
Have to bow out at this point. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
See you, man.
Bye, Dutch. All right, so looking at E9 KD Tech N, we have Fraternity going against Goon Swarm and the Imperium. This is apparently a fun little brawl. There's a lot of monitors on the screen there, which means there's a lot of FCs, which means this was a pretty big fight. Let's look at it. About 796 ships, players there, 485 ships lost. It was 60 billion total bill. That's not very much compared to yesterday or the other day where we had 500 million or 600 million. And this happened in Fade. So it looks like, Pandemic Horde, Northern Coalition, Fraternity got the best of Goon Swarm again. Goon Swarm, Dracarius, Initiative, Ranger Regiment. The Fraternity group came up with about 60% efficiency on this. Let's look at what the ships were that were used. Yeah, these are subcap brawls here that are happening. We're looking at Zealots versus Feroxes. Zealots are actually a great little ship. They're a Marian. Good little damage. I think they're good damage applicators, but they're fast is what I like about them. Also have a secondary group here. Well, that's logistics, but you have Deimoses, and we haven't seen those used very much in EVE Online, but now they're starting to get some usage because they were adjusted recently.
They got that buff, but
yeah,
they're still kind of range limited.
So I think that's why they didn't see a lot of usage in Null.
Yep, and there's also on the NC side some Munins. Looks like Horde still uses Munins. Those are fast assault cruisers, really heavy assault cruisers. Yep, and then some Hounds. I think those are Hounds. Yep, Hounds, bombers. Usually you'll have a bomber wing to look for targets of opportunity. For instance, if you have a group of battleships that are slow but have a lot of firepower, and they're firing on smaller, faster ships like, say, assault frigates, or not assault frigates, but hacks, heavy armor, or heavy assault cruisers, you might have a bomber wing come in and take advantage of that situation because battleships are going to be close together, relatively still, not moving around, shooting out and projecting damage, but they're vulnerable to bombs because enough bombers can basically, 6, 7, 2 waves of bombers of about 5 each, 10 bombs coming into a group of battleships will just eat those battleships alive. So you always have a bomber wing kind of looking around for opportunities. Where a bomber would be less effective, clearly, is if it was chasing around little ships. Would never hit them. Every time they shot a bomb, the little ships would get out of the way. So it doesn't work with smaller ships. You want those big targets. All right, and looking at on the other side of things, the Imperium was in, we said Feroxes. Ooh, Hurricanes. Hurricanes and Feroxes. Very cheap, easy to build, only takes minerals. You can build millions of them and never run out. And they're good damage applicators, so you will usually see a lot of them. But you see them looking at using sacrileges here too. That's a big sacrilege fleet. And then here's their logistics wings. Logistics, you'll always ever see scimitars if it's shield based or so it's usually scimitars. And then they also have a Munin fleet here, so that's why we see so many monitors. Monitors are flown by fleet commanders. Sorry, I'll jump back up to the top here.
Monitors are really great. You need all of the fleet command skills all the way up to use them, and then when you're sitting in the ship, you can't use those fleet command skills. It's great.
Well, they're meant for one purpose, which was one of the flaws of the design as CCP saw it. It's why you didn't have a monitor ship for a long time. But monitors were demanded by FCs, and here's why. If you're in a fleet and you're taking 100 guys out to fight, everybody's excited. As soon as you get on grid and the fight begins, everybody targets the fleet commander and destroys him. Some groups have people that can step in and control the fleet after the main fleet commander dies. Some groups do not. Therefore, that's called headshotting. If you headshot the fleet commander and kill him first, the fight can be over. And so a lot of players are disappointed that they were about to have some fun, their fleet commander's destroyed, and their participation in the fight is over, essentially. So there was a plea by fleet commanders to say, well, first of all, among themselves, they had this whole thing where they're like, look, no headshotting, okay? We're here to fight. Let's have some fun. Don't kill the leaders first. And some fleet commanders respect that, and other fleet commanders do not. They're like, nope, we don't want to play. We're here to win, so we're going to shoot your leaders first. So FC's basically said, look, a lot of players not having fun is not good for the game. Give us a ship that will not be blown up right away. And so the monitor ship was designed for one purpose, and that is to keep a fleet commander alive. You can choose to use it or not, but that's what it's for.
Yeah, the monitor is a very difficult ship to kill. It's if you want a headshot an FC in a monitor, then that is a very costly thing to do. It's very difficult. So essentially, it keeps the FC there on grid for the remainder of the fight.
You'll notice that a lot of the ships in gray here are the ones that are dead. Let me see if I can zoom in. Windows. Come on. How do I zoom in on this? All right, forget it. But what I wanted to point out.
Pando says he got headshot yesterday.
Pando got headshot yesterday? Oh, see, that's terrible. That can ruin a fight. But if you're fighting to win, all options are on the table. So it just depends on your philosophy. Hey, Pando, we were just talking about you. We'll talk about you again in just a second. But I want to point out the monitors that you're seeing on this screen here are, here, I'll post it for everybody else. There, so you guys can look at the same thing I'm looking at. The monitors didn't blow up, right? If you look at these fights, there's a lot of casualties, but the monitors, all of them on both sides, all of them survived. None of them were blown up because people don't waste time shooting the FCs anymore if they're in that ship. Which means it worked. I mean, the idea of the problem they were trying to solve, the monitor probably solved it, although the monitor is really not used for much else. And that was the controversy. In EVE Online, you're supposed to take something that exists in the game and use it 3 or 4 different ways. You're supposed to find things in the game that you can twist creatively to make something more interesting. And the monitor ship is a ship that you can't really twist in any way because it allows you to survive but doesn't allow you to attack. And really there's only one situation where that's really useful.
Yeah, it's a very niche, very specialized sort of ship. Then it's extremely uncommon in EVE Online, but it has its use and it has its place, and definitely its existence is justified.
Well, I don't know. There was, again, some controversy. Some people said, like, no, that's not in the spirit of EVE. You don't just solve one problem by putting down one solution. You let players figure out a solution. And they did. They had a whole, like, honor system where you're not supposed to kill each other's leaders. But that doesn't always
gentlemen's agreements are great, but, like, you can't rely on people obeying it.
Well, that can be said for a lot of parts of EVE Online where you have agreements between people and it is working. Like, I mean, if I said, look, there's a pirate, he captures your ship, he's ransoming your ship, he wants money so that he doesn't destroy you. And there's a gentleman's agreement, but guess what? You gave the pirate money and he killed you anyway. That is a situation where players didn't honor something. Therefore, should CCP fix that? Should CCP create some mechanic that makes people honor their ransoms?
Well, that's not ruining content for 500 people in one shot.
I see.
It's like a small sort of, that's a microcosm scenario. This is like, so the big giant null battles are kind of one of the big selling points of EVE. Like when you ask someone who knows nothing about EVE Online, like, what is the one thing that you have heard? What is the one thing that you know? And what they're going to tell you is massive space battles. So when those massive,
it sounds like monster trucks.
So when those massive space battles get ruined, because the FC got headshot, or as Pando said, is E-ward out, so they can't target call reliably, then that's like not fun for a whole lot of people and hitting directly to like the core of their marketing to some degree or another. So it was prudent to step in and provide the players with a tool that allows them to sidestep that.
Right. And then again, is that another example of when you have a council full of people who play in the big fights, undue influence, like I wonder. Or does everybody agree that, the big fights have to happen in a certain way, or, FCs have to live in a big fight in order to make it happen? Because I think there are other answers here. One is you get better backup FCs and give people a chance to step up. here's the thing about the evolution of the game is that any decision you make will reinforce behavior or subdue behavior, stop behavior. And I think one of the problems that EVE has right now is there's too many leaders that have been around a long time. And there's not many leaders that are being groomed for success, like successors. Because it's good to be the boss, and it gets even easier to be the boss in EVE over time. You know, with a lot of the tools, a lot of the third-party development. To be king is easy. It's not easy, but to be king is great in EVE Online right now. If you're in charge of a lot of people, it feels pretty good. You have power, you can do things. So I think you don't want to give up that seat. And we've had leaders that have been here for many years, and there are very few new leaders. And I'm looking at the Imperium here because you have FCs that have been around now for 4 or 5 years. They've been around longer, but they've been in charge 4 or 5 years. And a lot of FCs can't penetrate that click. And this is not from me. This is from what they said on like that show, Trash Talk Tuesday. At least, you know, Sado, I think, went and did his own thing from test, right? That might be a different case, but I'm looking at Pittsburgh, who took off and said, yeah, you know, I'm here to be an FC and to do some fleets. And, you know, if you're not part of the clique of FCs that are in charge, you don't get any of the good fleets. So I'm taking off. I think that was partially his reasons, but I know that was the reasons for Thomas Lear and Kanan. These are all FCs that do a lot of work for Imperium, and there was no room for them to move up, is what it feels like, and therefore they move out and they start their own thing, and you need more of that. So taking that concept of training people to come into a group and to take over and to sometimes be the leader and to share that power, if you do that successfully, maybe that's an advantage. And maybe CCP said, all right, well, we'll make this ship the monitor so you don't have to do that. And so now players, you know, don't need a backup FC as much as they need, because they can stay on the field. So they don't need to hand off target calling and FCing and everything else, because they're not going to be destroyed as fast. So development actually slowed a movement that is good for the game by putting a cork in a problem that people said was an obvious problem, that big fleets couldn't happen because if you kill the FC, big fleets don't happen. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah. So Pando says that if they're going to headshot your primary FC, they're also going to headshot the next one and the next one and the next one.
Right. Well, at some point, they must get to I don't know how many FCs you guys train, Pando. Like, how big is your stable of FCs? Is it 4 or 5 people? I don't know. But that all may be a symptom of a different problem too, which is the FC's making all the decisions about the fleet, and everybody else just wants to be told what to do. They want to push the buttons in the sequence that you tell them to. And, you know, being in a big fleet, there is things that you do on your own. Like you have to fly, you have to keep up, you have to follow instructions, but you are being orchestrated, right? Like an FC he's the conductor of the orchestra, and you are part of the orchestra, whether you're the violins or the flutes or whatever, you're part of this orchestra. So you have your thing that you need to do, but you're doing it in concert with a bunch of other people. All right, I'm just ranting, but Pando.
Do you care to address Caromancer's comment?
No,
Why
well,
don't
I
you
didn't.
ever talk?
I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
Why don't you ever talk about failed Pandafam FC, but always flame the Imperium?
Failed Pandafam FCs. Did I flame the Imperium? No. Listen, the reason
I don't know. It didn't sound like you did, but I thought
I wasn't
you maybe
flaming
wanted to
them.
address the comment.
I'm not flaming them. I'm citing examples, and the clearest examples are the people that come out and admit stuff. Pittsburgh came out and admitted stuff. You know, the guys that left Imperium came out and publicly said, this is why we're leaving, and this is a problem, that there's a clique and we don't belong to it, so therefore we're moving out, doing our own thing. That's why I cite that. Now, I would cite that in NC. But I don't know of that instance happening in NC. Certainly not public, because nobody said it in public. Fraternity, same thing. I don't know fraternity's FC culture if people have moved out because they couldn't move up. I'm sure that happens, but they're not public about it. And in fraternity, for instance, it's possible that they're public about it, but in Chinese, where it's hard for me to get that information. So I'm not flaming Imperium. I'm citing sources, so it doesn't come from me in that sense. But Imperium also has some of the older leadership, right? Like, and by older, I mean like people have been around a long time. So
what do we think about Cirqua's comment?
you're
Instead
gonna
of
have to
using a
read
monitor,
it. I missed it. Yeah.
yeah, instead of using a monitor, FC from a capital ship.
Last time I saw someone do that, they got doomsdayed by a Titan. That's what happens there.
That's what I
But
thought.
that makes
I just,
sense.
like,
Yeah. That is the original intent of capital ships, is they're supposed to be set piece. They're supposed to be set pieces. In other words, you've seen that video, right? Let's go look at it right now. It's a trailer. Prophecy, right?
Oh, that trailer.
One of the best trailers for combat. There's been a lot of good trailers. And I went to the wrong one. Let me put in Eve Online, not Teve Online. Yeah, here it is. So I hope I don't blow this. Let's turn the volume down. So I'll just skip to it, but you know, this is a setup to a big fight. Now watch what happens here. Here comes the enemy fleet.
All wings in position. Blockade is ready.
Right. And that's what it's supposed to be. That is what capital ships were supposed to be. They're supposed to be set pieces. Like they're the heavies. They come in and all these little ships are support for them. See if I can get that just right. This is exactly what, you know, they said they were supposed to be when they made them. And they were for a while, for about a year, maybe a little more. If a Titan came in, you know, it was one player, but he was a heavy in that fight. He was the thing that everything revolved around, and his doomsday weapon. I say his because mostly guys play Eve. You know, his doomsday would just blow everything up on grid, and whatever was left, that's what your fleet would go and like destroy. You know, kind of clean it all up. So those were the set piece ships that were supposed to be. They were never supposed to be ratters, gate campers. That's an absurd, twisted, really broken use of these giant ships. But this is kind of what they were supposed to be. So, to the question, what about an FC and a giant ship like that? FCs would probably say, no way, that's crazy. And they might not be wrong because you're not maneuverable at that size, right?
Titans, you know, Titans were designed as, were envisioned, you know, and conceptualized as an alliance level asset. And obviously, a lot of things, you know, once you hand it to the players, they're going to do whatever they want with it. You know, these wormholes were not designed to be lived in, but we're here anyway. But the design concept, the intent behind a Titan especially, was that it is an alliance level asset. And now, you know, you just rat enough and you get one. So the game is very different now. So whatever it was, you know, whatever it was that they were for, they're not for that now.
Well, you rat enough, you build your own. Like you do your own ratting. I mean, it used to be, this is absurd, but you used to rat yourself a second one. It was almost like I'm going to knit myself a sweater, you know? And not only can I knit myself a sweater, but I know how to make the yarn because I have a sheep. You know, it's like, what the heck? That's not the way it's supposed to work. Let me take you to a different trailer that, let's see, EVE Online trailers. So we'll go back in time here. Here's another, sorry, let's go back in time.
But in general, like, that's not a serious question though with the captains,
Pando.
right? Like,
No.
why aren't you FC-ing from the cap?
No, it's not a serious question. I said FCs would be like, you're crazy. But you know what?
Yeah.
Pando, since you're here,
the guy who said the comment said that it was a joke.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's an exploration though of like the reality is different than what CCP had intended for fleets to look like. But tell us why that would just be a non-starter for FCs.
Well, first of all, I mean, look at you just had a battle report open, right? The meta at the moment is heavy soak cruises mostly, right? That's fairly fast moving kind of stuff. And to even consider being in a cap and then FCing, you would lock way slower, you would move way slower, you would slow your entire fleet down, right?
Sure.
Then, like, how effective would it actually be? Probably not as effective. And then every time you lose a fight, you also lose a capital on top of it. You know what I mean? So, and a Titan would be like, that would be ridiculous, right? So,
it would.
And in chat for a good idea.
Let me turn you up here. You're a little bit loud. A little bit quiet, Murray. But here's my pushback, Pando, and I'm just clearly I understand what you're saying, and it's not reasonable to think that can be a change easily achieved. But what if you were to, because if we wanted to achieve what EVE wants as far as like battles to look like or wanted, I don't know. What if they could? If you could reside in the Titan, but you could literally project yourself out with the same speed and the same command structure, like you're almost like doing a projection of a small ship moving around and having all the speed and maneuverability that you need. But you can't actually be taken off the field because you're actually projecting from the Titan itself.
Like a hologram.
Kind of like a hologram. That's the easiest way to think about it. Yeah. Or it could be, if you want to think of it in sci-fi terms, it could be you're projecting drones, like you're launching fighter-sized drones that are projecting your consciousness, as opposed to you're a little meat puppet in a little ship that's flying around doing the thing.
That sounds just like super complicated.
Yeah.
I think, looking at the monitor.
Yeah.
If you look at the monitor, not every FC is happy with it, like the way it turned out, right? It's a little... So, for example, I'm flying even smaller ships, right? Kikis. I love flying Kiki fleets. But in a monitor, I'd slow the fleet still down to a degree where I decide to not fly a monitor, but I fly a Harpy instead, which is tough to kill, but it's far from impossible to kill, right? So I take the risk of getting headshot, which happens every now and then, just to be faster and just to be, a little better at, like, a little bit more agile on anchoring and all that stuff, because you have to be fast on it. And on top of that, you can't use any drugs in the monitor, which is annoying. The whole...
oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you don't have cargo. You have to use drugs and then undock and go, right? You have
literally no cargo. Literally no cargo.
And the same is the same problem shows up when you try to use your probe launcher. Right? It's annoying. You have to use your probe launcher in a way. You only have one set of each, like core probes and comet probes, and then you have to drag them over from the charge bay, which is like, it's just so annoying, right? Like, instead of just saying, okay,
shoehorned in, right?
Yeah, let's just give it 5 cubic meters of cargo, right? And everything would have been all right. But no. Or 10 or whatever. Nobody's going to use it as a shuttle, really.
And
They're expensive.
honestly,
Would it be correct? Sorry, Mark.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, wasn't the original request from FCs something along the lines of a module for ships that they could fit on any that changed how it worked? So it was more of an FC ship rather than a set ship.
But I think the way they approached it with a different ship was the better way, because then it's way harder to exploit it.
right? You see a monitor, you know exactly that thing can't do shit to you, right? While if you put a module, you might just be able to refit it, even in warp, right? We've done stuff like this before, where you just refit the entire fleet in warp on a fucking Nestor. So then suddenly you're not in, that kind of ship, So it would be, I think that opens up to so many problems, potential problems, that I think the ship idea, it's not too bad. Just a little, a couple little things. I mean, and then also it's an anti-headshot ship. But what if you want to kill a Keepster? You're gonna get headshot anyway, because the Keepster doesn't care. It's like, that's one of those things that get me triggered every time. But
were you behind
the Keepster, guys? All of these.
Were you behind getting the monitor into the game? Like, was that something that you were supporting at the time?
Well, I would have been supporting. I wasn't anyone pushing it. Like, I don't know who pushed for it that hard. But if someone would have asked me, maybe someone did. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah,
I would have said, like an anti-headshot ship isn't.
The other thing to keep in mind about the monitor is a lot of people either use it when they're not supposed to, like their fleet size is too small, and if they just had Logi keep them on watch list, they'd be alive. So that's -1 useful ship. Or they just assume, I can't die, so I don't need backups for a lot of typical things that you would often try and have backups for. So
these all sound
I
like
know
mistakes.
who's anchoring the fleet. It's you in the monitor. And if I web you in the monitor, your fleet's not going anywhere. Because a lot of people don't think I should get a secondary anchor, even if it's just one of my Munin, in case I get webbed.
All right, hang out for just a second. We're going to show a second trailer, just a little bit of it. This is Dominion trailer. It's very popular at the time. This is when Sov changed to a more refined takeover system of sovereignty. And one of the big deals in this one is the mixing of battle, the layers of battle. One group comes in, another group escalates, the second group escalates, and finally you have the big ships come in.
What's the ETA on those reinforcements? We're going as fast as we can. Just a few more jumps. Copy that, Talon. Get here as quick as possible. Stealth recon, I'm cloaking at 40. Golf, that's your primary. Copy, engaging. Heads up, he's lit a Sino. New contacts, hostile capital ships inbound. All ships, focus fire on that super carrier. Target down. They lit a second Sino. Enemy support bridging in. Route number 2 to 1. Austin, fall back to the gate and link up with Talon. My shields can't keep up. I need some help. Get shield transfers on safe. Golf, primary those dictors. Unable, I'm jammed. Talon, where the hell are you? We are getting murdered. Armor's gone. This is it. Yes, well done. Focus fire on the second carrier. Cypress, this is Hammer. The fleet is through. Call a target.
Enemy support fleet at 80.
Hammer, your primary is that support fleet. We'll assign fighters to cover you. Roger?
Dreadnought in position.
Very good. Start your siege cycle.
Copy. Engaging.
Cypress, support fleet is disengaging. Request permission to pursue. Negative. Maintain your attack. You don't need our help for this. Don't do it. We have no eyes out there. Too late. Already in warp. Talon, they're following us to the gate. Are you in position?
Roger that, Austin. We're holding in the next system. Talon fleet, jump through now.
Understood. Jumping in. That's a lot of hostiles in local. Yeah, glad you could make it.
What are targets by range?
Check scanners. Here they come.
Take down that command ship first.
Roger. Engaging. Austin, align to the outpost. That's выходить.
Прыгаем. Есть главная цель?
Ждите всех. Теперь эта система наша.
Да, командир.
Oh my. Should let that play out. Yeah, I remember that trailer. Did you see the headshot in there? They take out the command ship.
Yep. Dirty.
dirty. That's sort of. No, but the neat thing about that is just how layered the battles were. I think that's what they were celebrating there, is how many back and forth there is, how many momentum swings. But at the end, you do see and this is when they were first introduced as directional weapons. You see the Titans come in and use their directional weapon on a structure, which is not really the way players use it, but it looked pretty cool.
Yeah, and so there are battles like that where it goes a little bit back and forth, but a lot of times what gets in the way of that is really tie-dye, right? Because it slows everything so down that you can't have any back and forth in the target system anymore. Everything is just in, and whoever got the most numbers wins. But it doesn't mean 2,000 people in system that there's necessarily way more, stuff getting killed, because you don't have the time technically, right?
Yeah,
it's a little bit of a shame. Maybe one day we can dream a world without time.
I think maybe sooner than you think, because they seem to be making some progress. And the technology shifts that are coming, not only with the 64-bit engine, but the, what's the other one? Well, there's some server technology around the corner. I think it's within 3 years. But also,
you mean the Hadean stuff?
Yeah, I think there's like
I wouldn't rely on
3
that.
competitors.
No,
but there's like 3 competitors to it. There might be a different thing. It looks like video games are going to kind of possibly going to a cloud-based content delivery system.
Well, I do want to take a moment to talk about tie-dye, because this actually got addressed on the Techstravaganza stream. I asked about time dilation. So just to clarify for people like what this means and what it is, time dilation is when CCP slows everything down so that people don't get disconnected. Because when you have enough going on in one single solar system, then what was happening was that the server couldn't process everything all at once. All the missiles, all the players, because every missile on grid has to be communicated to every ship on grid. Every ship on grid has to be communicated to every other ship on grid. And all the back and forth, all that physics calculation was too much for the CPU to do. And the limitation here is that the server side, the EVE Online servers themselves, are running code that is written in what is called stackless Python. And without knowing what that exactly means, it means that one solar system can only be processed by a single CPU core. One single CPU core of one single CPU in one node in one, whatever. So they could have thousands of CPU cores available to Tranquility, but a solar system is locked to just one. It's not able to use more than one. So the Tranquility infrastructure as a whole wouldn't be maxed out. Their CPU usage would be low. But one solar system is just maxing out its CPU core, and it just can't get better. So what they do is they slowed everything down. So that way, instead of disconnecting and black screen and nothing happens and this and that, everything just happens more slowly so the CPU can catch up. This is an inherent limitation of the server-side code that exists right now. It's not a matter of speed or performance. It's the single threading. It's the fact that stackless Python can only use one CPU core, and that's just how it is. So in order for that to change, the entire server-side code would have to be like forklift upgraded. They'd have to write a whole new server side and then replace the existing server side with that to take advantage of their existing hardware. So right now, the only way to improve performance is to take each individual CPU core and make it faster, but you're limited because you can make one core faster, but then they're just going to bring more players. So that is the existing limitation. So the look into Hadean's Ether Engine, Hadean is the company, Ether Engine is their technology. That is a server-side code, that is a server-side code base that is able to run these processes on multiple CPU cores and multiple CPUs distributed everywhere, and actually take advantage of the hardware that CCP already owns. However, doing this is a massive, massive, massive undertaking. So I would say that if this is going to be a thing, whether it's Hadean's Ether engine or something else, we are looking at 3 to 7 years or something.
I wouldn't say it's going to be that long. Amazon already have it in Lumberyard, and that's live on games right now.
Oh no, I'm not saying it can't it can't happen. I'm just saying in terms of CCP's initiative to replace their entire server side, which is not necessarily in the works. They may not have. That may just be in talks at this point. That would be a massive, massive undertaking, and it's not that someone else is able to build a new game and implement it, which is true. Like that, new stuff can be implemented based on this, but to forklift replace the server side would be an undertaking that is bigger than anything that CCP has ever done.
So sorry,
Go ahead.
sorry, Matt.
No, go ahead, Bard.
I was going to say. So I'm going to say two things here. One is, given that we're seeing them doing projects that they've always said that they may never do, such as I know this is a simple one, but the ability to go back to the login screen and change the character, right?
Yeah.
And how they said they'd have to rebuild the entire client to do it. They've done it. I genuinely question if maybe they are working on this behind the scenes already, Francois.
Well, I mean, I asked, and the answer was we taught. I forgot which two of the tech guys answered this, but they said we literally talk about this twice a week. Like we have a meeting twice a week to discuss, what to do about time dilation and the CPU core lock for a single solar system. So they're definitely, they know it's an issue. They think about it. They talk about it. They're considering Ether engine is, one of their options, but we don't know exactly what they're going to do. There's also another question to ask here, which is when they change this over, they would essentially have to rebuild it to maintain the tick system, because if they don't maintain the tick system, then that changes EVE Online gameplay for everyone. So all we're trying to do is remove the necessity for tie-dye, remove the necessity for locking a solar system into a single CPU core. We're not looking to change the mechanics. So they would have to literally rebuild it that way. So someone answered me. They said it was Chimichanga and Tuxford answered the question.
I can't see that. I was just going to say, though, my second point, and this kind of ties into what you say, Fonsui. As far as I understand, not the Aether engine, but Hadean's main server system, that could be implemented as a level under the game without any major rework.
I don't know enough to speak to that. I won't talk and sound like an idiot.
I'm going to have to reread it, I will fully admit, but from what I remember at the time, it was basically this is basically server software that sits between the server and your game program and will dynamically do it there without you having to rebuild your game. Or at least that's their plan.
Well, keep in mind, the client wouldn't have to be rewritten. This is the server side that would have to be
Sorry, I mean the server side setup, right. It sits between what they are running on the server and the server OS.
Well, hopefully there is a route forward that allows them to do this, but as long as a solar system is locked to one CPU core, there is only one path to enhance performance, and that is faster CPU cores, which is not, which is very limiting, expensive, and has a ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Once you can spread a solar system across multiple CPU cores, then we are, CCP is free to do whatever they want. They're like, let's just buy an additional node. Let's get another chassis, slap another couple of compute nodes in there, and now we have more capability, and our solar systems can be spread. But that is not something that the current technology allows for. By the way, that's why there is such a concept as a reinforced node. Their Everest nodes or whatever it was. Like they have certain, they have a cabinet in the data center with a bunch of chassis in it, with a bunch of slot servers in there. It's like a module that fits in, and each one is a whole server in and of itself with CPU and memory and everything. And some of them are more powerful than other ones. Like Jita runs on a server that has a faster CPU and more memory. But this would effectively, so the ability to distribute the load would eliminate the need. You could just have the same nodes everywhere and just use more or use fewer.
All right, guys. I'm gonna switch topics real quick. I just want to show the time dilation. Remember, it's dilation, not dilation. I used to say it wrong all the time. Time dilation started in 2011. That's when it was announced. I think it came in less than a year after it was announced. So around 2011. What I want to do though, before we lose Pando, if he has to take off, is talk to him a little bit. You're going to interview or talk with or provide space for CSM winners and maybe losers to come on your show later today, right?
Yeah. So basically, CCP is gonna announce at 1900 they're gonna start their stream, and they're gonna announce the winners. And I think they want to present some data around the CSM election. I have no idea what exactly that means, but I guess we'll all find out at the same time. And then I'm guessing it's gonna take around like half an hour of a stream. That's going to be, and then
might be election data, like voting data and that kind of stuff. That's probably the data they're going to show.
Maybe like where people were when they voted or whatever, right? Stuff like. And then I think that's going to take half an hour or so, and then I'm going to take over and do a little bit of a, I thought since they do not, they only have one summit this term, right? So I thought get them together early and introduce the new guys to the class and see like what they have to say. Think about like maybe there's certain experts missing on it. I have no idea yet who's getting elected, so I have to get as many of them together right then and there, which is going to be a little bit of a challenge. I mean, you for sure know the challenge of getting people on at the right time and stuff like this. And I think some US time zone people will probably be still at work, but I think it's going to be 6 or 7 of the elected guys are going to be on it. So yeah, and CCP Dopamine is going to be helping me a little bit, moderating or whatever.
Yeah, I heard that and I thought it's great because you do a lot of interviews for FCs, right?
Yeah, usually what I just do is FC, like I call it FC chat, right? And it's like I try to not have it as an interview. It's more of a conversation, but sometimes it turns more into an interview and sometimes it turns more into a conversation. And yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Usually it's strictly FCs. Yeah.
Right, because that's your background. That's what you know.
Yeah,
among other things. Yeah, but primarily that's your focus, and that's really interesting. To me, I was thinking about that, and I thought, is that the best message to send? That you're going to take the CSM and have them interviewed by a guy that's an FC that interviews FCs for your coalition level FC. A lot of these guys are coalition level players, and I thought to myself, is that the right message to send? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's all like you're reinforcing the idea that this is a null set club mostly for FCs or people who are in charge of FCs. Anyway, I know you, and I know you're fantastic. So it was just something that I was theorizing. Not it wasn't something I actually believed.
If I'm completely honest, like I didn't think about it all that much. They announced they're gonna do it at 1900, and at 2100, I usually do the FC chat. So I didn't have a guest lineup, and I thought like maybe it would be a good idea to get all the CSMs together, and talk. I didn't think about it in like all that depth. I wrote down some good questions, I think.
Yeah.
And it should be a fun conversation. It's not gonna be
let's talk about our issues.
Anything serious.
Yeah. Well,
we all heard about the issues before. Right?
Yeah, and
like what do you think should be changed and all that stuff? Like, I
and
really
it's going to be
don't
this.
Want to dive into it.
please don't make it the same garbage that it usually is. Like, not your stuff is great, but what CSM usually talks about is usually the same old stuff over and over again.
Yeah. No.
So I don't know. Try to get them to say something. Well, I mean, I don't know. It's going to be your thing. Whatever you do is fine. You're good at it.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that. But as you know,
Mm-hmm.
asking good questions and getting good answers, you know, it's not always that easy, right?
Yeah, two different things.
That's something that I keep saying nowadays too. It's like it's a skill to run a show like you're doing right now, and then being entertaining. And then when you have guests on, specific guests, you don't know what you get really, right? Like,
Yeah.
Are you gonna ask the right question? Is that guy just gonna answer with yes or no? That kind of stuff, you know what I mean? I had a couple of those too. Like sometimes the conversation just doesn't flow, you know?
It's terrible, isn't it?
It's a real skill. Yeah, it is. It's fucking it's a struggle sometimes.
Yeah. But you have an advantage that I don't have, and that is that at any moment you can just go to content, because again, you're a very seasoned. Not only are you an FC, not only are you a block level FC, but you're also a theory crafter. So you have like an intense amount of knowledge in your own library in your brain. So you can just say like, let's talk about the sacrilege. And you can just go to town on that for 15 minutes if you want. I guess.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And that's good. And you might have to do that when somebody's like, yeah, no, maybe, like I don't like it when people give me definitive answers. I kind of have the opposite problem. When I start interviewing somebody, they start talking about something, and I kind of already, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, I kind of know what they're going to say. So the kind of people that I gravitate towards are people who have way different and deeper knowledge than I do, like Faswiba here. And so I ask him a question about Triglavians, and he'll get going on Triglavians and stuff, and he knows how to fill dead air. So he'll go until I stop him. So my problem is the opposite problem. It's like, when do I stop Faswiba? Like, how far do I let him go?
I need you to stop me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll let go of the button myself.
Yeah. But Ashtarathi's the same way. So is most of the people I talk to. At what point do I say, I'm losing the audience, got to stop them, go back for the audience, pick up the audience, and let's go forward. So it's normally because of the people that I invite and try to talk to. They can't stop talking. But I have had do Elo night, and you might not get anything out of Elo night,
When I had him on, he was super talkative, actually. Easy conversation.
Because he likes you.
Enjoyed him.
Yeah.
Oh, you think he doesn't like you? That's why?
No, I don't know.
No, I think it's just easier for me to connect to other FCs because, it's just, we're pretty similar, I would say. Like, all FCs, like, they're surprisingly similar. Like, everyone has a little bit of a, difference. Maybe the PGLs are a little bit more ragey and fleet, but it's a little bit of a gimmick. Then you have other FCs that are a little bit more serious. But in general, we're all kind of the same. We understand like the work that people put in and stuff. So,
Faswiba, you want to? Oh, go ahead.
No, go
ahead. Actually, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, sorry. But did you see Nulli's back? What's that about? Do you have any idea? Nulli Secunda?
I have no idea.
Me either. One of the corps in there is original, but I wonder what ProGod will do. I have to ask him if he knows about it, if he does, what he's thinking about that.
I remember what I wanted to say actually. So, like, also the audience is probably a little bit different because like I might not explain. For example, Faswiba just explained tie-dye in detail. We might not go over that in detail, right? So like it's maybe a little bit more for FCs too. That's what I think, at least. I mean, I don't know who exactly is watching, so I'm trying to keep it as broad as possible, but can't go into detail on everything, I guess.
Well, that's a good point to bring up for those that haven't listened to Pando. Again, heavy FC topics. There's no part of FCing that's going to be too deep for them to cover, but he also covers other things. Is that right?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Like, it doesn't stay on just ships, FCing, and those issues.
Well,
you talk
no,
about the
I'm
game in
talking
general.
True NFC, and the conversation is most likely gonna be over FC and all that stuff. But if we talk about whatever, that's totally fine too, right? We talked like, for example, I had Fulcrum on, who is a Chinese FC.
Fulcrum,
who's also
yeah.
Fulcrum. He
You said
and then we
Fulcrum
talked
on,
about-
and it kind of sounded like a different person. That's why I clarified.
Oh, all right.
Fulcrum.
I had Fulcrum on the show. And then we also talked about like the whole like pandemic situation. When I had him first on, nobody was on lockdown over here, right?
Yeah.
So we were talking about that in China, and he's like, "Yep, guys, get ready." Right?
Oh, so you talked
like, "Oh,
about real
shit."
life stuff, yeah. Oh, wow, and even
Yeah,
before that
we
happened.
talk about real life stuff too, of course. Yeah. Whenever it's whenever it fits in.
Yeah. Are you liking it? Are you liking the show? It's doing very well. We cover it. You have another guy that RSS as
Yeah,
well.
I enjoy it. Yeah, surprisingly, I enjoy it.
You've
I
been
don't
very
even know
consistent.
when I had the idea or anything, but I think actually Elo, who you mentioned earlier, was actually my first guest for the first two shows. The
Yeah.
second show was an absolute struggle technically.
Yep.
Because I changed some audio stuff and it just wouldn't work. It was just a nightmare. And
I remember hearing about it. That's why you told us not to publish the first two.
No, the first one was fine.
Okay.
The second one was just like, but
Yeah.
I went back, fixed it all, and since then, I think most conversations were like fairly easy. I would say like 10% of them are a little bit of a struggle that you have to get through, but usually I enjoy it a lot. Like I said, surprisingly, actually, I didn't like it wasn't my intention because it started actually as a fight analysis thing, right? To talk about certain fights, and yeah, and then it developed into this for some reason.
Right. You were also starting to stream at that point, or you were thinking about it or playing with it. So it was, you might have been kicking around different ideas at the same time, I imagine. Like I'll talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. But and then also it's the only part of the stream that I can or that I keep exactly on the date I say, right? Because we have structure timers and all that stuff, like strategic timers all the time. But for this one, I make an exception. I don't move the date around, unless I change the schedule in general. So
Right.
yeah.
That's one of the things I find amazing. Ron did it very well. You're doing it pretty well. I haven't really watched much streaming. Don't have that much time. But the idea that you're a living FC, that what you're doing is something in the game of consequence. It's not for funds. It's, you have missions you're trying to accomplish, things you're trying to do, get fights you're getting into. You have to FC. At the same time, you're bringing in the audience to watch it all happen. And so you have to be cognizant of an extra layer of complication, which is what to hide from the stream so that people don't know what you're looking at exactly.
Yeah, so I think there's two different types of maybe three of types of fleets that I stream, right? So one would be a smaller gang like I usually do at the moment with my corp, with a couple of friends, a couple of guys from Alliance. It's usually an advantage to give away some information there so we get the fight, right? It might not always be a good fight. Like yesterday, I got a headshot and they brought a shit ton of stuff, okay? So it doesn't always work like that, but it has a higher chance of us getting a fight in the first place. Then what I also do is I hunt a lot with like a big fleet, just Alliance, right? Like 200 kikis, for example. Then I would just start streaming the second we've got tackle. So the OPSEC part starts after we've got tackle, but then hostiles already know anyway. So it's like it's not that big of an issue that they know where we are, how many we've got. They already got the D-scan. They know where we are. They know what we've got tackled. The only thing maybe is, and I can see that if you want to save the guy, you can live see how much armor he got left. You can time everything a little bit better and stuff like this, right? Because you can watch my stream and then see it. But how many times are going to make the big difference? Probably not that much, right? And then maybe the third fleet type that I would FC is like would stream is where I don't FC. So I'm just sitting in the fleet. I do it sometimes when Dark Shines, for example, he's doing a fleet, and I'm just going to be there doing something else. For example, I'm a Logi or whatever, and then I enjoy that the most, to be honest, because it's all stress-free and I can just talk about what's happening and explain everything a little bit easier, right? Which I can't if I'm busy FCing myself. I can't explain like, why is this happening? Why is that happening? And so on, right? So
You can't,
that's maybe the
you can't talk to the audience because your fleet will get confused.
Yeah. I mean, I can talk to the audience without talking to the fleet, right?
If somebody else is FCing, I imagine.
Yeah. Both. Like I sometimes talk to the audience without the fleet knowing.
You got really?
Oh yes.
And you manage your mutes so that so they can't hear you, or do they just know that you're talking to the
I'm
audience?
on voice activation anyway.
Right.
For the stream, so they can hear almost everything I say. Just in specific. Sometimes it's a little awkward when I have the comms not muted and someone comes in and says whisper, da 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 is happening, you know? And it's a little awkward because suddenly like everyone knows like there's a dread bomb about to happen or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But usually I can mute it in time. But yeah, I'm like I've used push to talk on Mumble, so it's all good.
I got you. So the audience hears everything because you're not monitoring what you're muting for them, but your guys are only hearing what you want them to hear. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to harass them with streamer talk, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What kind of delay?
That's not what they're trying to fleet.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like, why are you explaining to me that? Why are you explaining that to me, Pando? I know it. I've been doing it a long time, is what they would think. But what do you do about the delay? Like, do you delay the stream for minutes?
I don't.
Wow.
I just sometimes do it for specific stuff. For example, if it's not my fleet, then I delay it usually, right? Because then, I don't want to have someone else's fleet suffer under like my stream, right? That would be, it would be wrong, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But other than that, I usually don't put any delay on. They can see where I warp. It works both ways sometimes, I can mute myself, have that bubble go up the second after we warp, and then I just talk like, oh shit, like I didn't want to land here or there, and they would sometimes fall for it, right? So like I don't know how many hack fleets warped into our bubbles and got bombed in the last year or so, and a lot of them, they could have watched the stream, see us sit on the gate on 0, and the bubble is right there, but they're not paying attention and stuff like this. So
wild.
I think they're a little bit more confident when they can see it, and I can sometimes use it too, but it's rare.
To use it for disinformation.
Yes, I mean, I don't want to say like it's some fucking 300 IQ play here, but I'm just saying it mitigates the disadvantage to a degree.
Yeah. Right. Sometimes. Right.
I'll call for supers to log in, but nobody buys that ever. All Dreads log in.
Just keep saying it, man. Just keep saying it. And then
one day
it's true, they're not going to be ready.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the idea too, right? If I say every time there's a hostile super fleet landing, I should be saying, I always forget, but I should be saying all Dreads log in and get in fleet and give orders, and everyone's going to be confused, but that way, that the day it actually happens, nobody's going to be alerted by it,
Yeah. Yeah, right.
But,
yeah. Play that card too many times, then when you actually do it, they're not expecting it. But they have spies.
He always says that.
I imagine they have spies that's where they confirm things.
Yeah.
Like, so
usually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so there's like, you're like triple threat, right? Because not only are you an FC and also people may not know this about you, but you're not just an FC. You've done a lot of inventing of doctrines that other people have adopted. And, you're known as a theory crafter, one of the few theory crafters out there. You're also doing the media stuff now with some streaming, some battle streaming, and this great FC chat series that you do. Like what
Yeah.
else? What else is there? You don't have any political ambitions, do you? About going back to the CSM thing here,
No, I mean,
because you're a bit of a
had like
kingmaker, right? Because you put last year you put Izuki near the top of your list. That helped him get in. Turns out now he's in initiative, so not a bad move. And
yeah,
you put Stitch at the very top of your list last year, and he did really well. He came in like 11th or 12th, or 12th, 13th. So
yeah.
a lot of weight there you push for CSM.
Yeah, I think like our guys can be pretty proud of that one. I think nobody, like, there was no big Reddit thread about it or anything. I think most people are not aware of this actually, but because Brisk wasn't running because of the Briscident, right?
The Briscident,
yeah.
Which you were a part of, a major part of.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that later.
Boy.
But so Brisk wasn't running, and we had to. We were just talking about it, and none of the init guys was running. There was an init guy, but he nobody knew the guy at the time, so I felt like maybe this is the chance to actually get someone more independent elected, which would be good for the CSM. I felt like, so we pushed for Stitch and then Izuki. But I think Stitch didn't do the greatest job of promoting himself, so he came a little short. But Izuki had a bunch of Wormhunters behind him, so he got elected instead, which I was very happy about. Yeah. And then this year it was complicated. Now Izuki is in it again, but also Brisk is back. And then we have also PJ Hustle, who's a really good guy, who's doing all the
he's good
in meetup stuff, and he's a really good dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, am I gonna say like, no, we want Izuki first, or is it Brisk first? But what about PJ? And actually, I wanted to make it a tradition to say as in it, we always vote for like some independent guy, but that would be kind of weird for our dudes. Yeah. So I just said like, I'm staying out of this. I do not care all too much. So like, you guys figure it out.
That's interesting. I wonder how much of the possibility of running for CSM on a ticket is actually a recruitment tool for people. Like, I get the feeling that some people are in TIS to raise their profile. Actually, that's part of what we offer, right? Raise your profile. So when like 7 or 8 people from TIS decided to run, it really wasn't a surprise, because this is kind of what you normally do is you raise your profile and then you make a run for it. And I wonder if that works on an alliance level as well. Like, I'm going to join an alliance. Which one should I pick? Well, if I do Goon Swarm, I'll never be able to like run for CSM there. Initiative, there seems to be more room. Maybe I should go there because I can probably get more support. There's a better chance of me getting support there. And that same thing can be played out into any alliance that you think about.
Yeah. So last year we had that one guy run for CSM. He's technically an init guy, and he's in a corp that I knew very well and stuff, but I didn't know the guy. So I felt like I forgot the name even, right? Nobody knew him in Alliance. He wasn't a big name inside the Alliance, but he basically ran thinking, nobody else is running. Brisk isn't running, so I'm going to be the init guy, right? So I'm going to get elected for sure. And you could just tell, right? That was his, take on it, which I thought was not fair from his point of view. So he got like the 5th slot or so because he is an init guy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And that's how it works. I think if you're not, for better or worse, if you're not a known personality, you don't get the top spot. So like in NC. For instance, I'll use myself as an example. I'm not a known quantity inside of NC. I'm not an FC. I don't even scout. I didn't do any of that stuff at the time when I was there. Killah B is a primary FC, block level FC. There is no ambiguity about who gets the first spot, because NC is going to put their guy at the top spot. They know him, they trust him, they've worked with him. And then maybe you get like for the people that are part of your organization, you might get a ceremonial spot, but it's not going to help you in the election.
Yeah, people still have to earn their spots, even on those big ballots, right? That's the reality of things. It's not like the Goon candidates or NC candidates or whoever, they get there for free. That's how it's projected sometimes, right? Especially from smaller groups and stuff. Like, no, these guys are already through some sort of election process, if you want to see it that way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let that be a warning to people, or just a message out there. If you're joining an alliance because it might be a good platform for you to run, that may not be the best strategy, which is too bad, because there are very few strategies for independent people to make it into the CSM.
I don't think I've seen it though. Like, I don't think anyone joined an alliance with that in mind that I've seen. So
I haven't
if
seen
anyone
it
wants
either.
to,
Nobody will
if
admit
anyone
it.
wants to try to get onto the CSM alone, they should read Brisk's article, because he wrote a whole thing on INN about how to raise your profile, how to deal with it. One of the big block candidates.
Yeah. Well, Pando, the CSM is not unknown to you. You did get involved in the Briscident, whether you wanted to or not. That was such a weird thing, wasn't it?
yeah, I mean,
just 4
that's
more
one of the
years,
reasons.
and then my NDA is gone, and I can talk about it.
That's right, Killah.
We've got the perfect guy here.
What a mess that was. Let me tell you.
Were you involved with it too, Killah?
Everybody was, yeah.
I think I know the story now from different sources, putting it all together. That basically, I think it was Peanut Smash. I think talking to Dark Shines found out that he sold a very expensive Titan, the Moloch, and he reported it to Killah. You don't have to deny or confirm. Killah was obligated to pass it on to CCP, so he did. That circled back, went through CCP. They took it on face value that it was sold because Titans were going to change, and you didn't want one Titan, you wanted various Titans. So they took it as Dark Shines was cashing in his one big Titan worth 5 Titans and buying 5 Titans instead to diversify the platform. So you have 5 Titans instead of one really expensive one. And that looked like a strategic move based off of information that was coming from CSM, because you had an initiative guy on CSM, Brisk, tied to Dark Shines, an FC, and Pando. I
have no idea why Pando got banned, to be honest. That was just random.
I don't know where.
No, I know why. Because
the communication was through Pando.
I was pushing for certain changes, and I was in contact with Brisk right before the whole thing. So I was in contact with Brisk about what I told him to push for. And then when he brought it up in the meeting, he just gave me the info like, didn't go too well. He didn't say any specific, he didn't give me any information that I didn't know. It was my idea in the first place, right?
Yeah, some people were really mad that he chatted with you about the feedback or something. And that because I saw you guys chat because I was sitting next to Brisk during most of the sessions. So I saw you guys go type on Discord every now and then, in breaks and shit, which I thought was fine. But some people were really upset that Brisk basically told you that, the guys didn't like it or something like that. It was a weird situation. Like I said, in 4 years, if anyone still remembers it by then we can talk about the whole thing.
The details.
And all the details. It's far less exciting in reality. People may, obviously, when something like that happens, people always make it out to be some kind of grand scheme, and this was a huge plot to accomplish something. It's always a little bit less exciting than people make it out to be. But that was certainly one of the situations, the whole Brisk incident, that made me, obviously ever since I dropped out of the CSM, I've been at some certain points, very critical towards CCP, and that has a reason, right? And I know that companies change, and the recent changes we've gotten are overall very positive, right? So there's always the hope that ever since I left the CSM, a lot of things have changed internally within CCP, and things are going the right way now. But right after I left the CSM, I was very disgruntled with CCP. I was just very unhappy with how they did things internally, and I didn't have a lot of faith. And the Briscident or whatever you call it definitely played a big role in that as well, because that was just so poorly handled overall that it just sucked basically.
I think the big question that came up after that, which is legit, is like if Brisk and Shines and me, we were banned that easily and stuff. Like who else got banned and didn't get the second chance, right? So I hope this is just like the first time. Well,
that is like
they
the
probably-
one thing I agree with that like I think sucks, because I do think there was a lot of people that got banned, and in my like obviously Brisk was banned for wrong reasons, so it's good that he did get the second chance. But the only reason he did get the second chance in the first place is because he was a public figure and he could play that card, right? And CCP was obviously very worried about some sort of legal issues or something. And like I'm positive that there's a lot of people that get banned that don't have that kind of public face, and they just never get a second chance because nobody cares, right? And that's unfortunately how I think a lot of people get banned as well. Because I know a bunch of people that got banned for stuff that just doesn't justify a permaban. And if they write a ticket, they write emails to CCP, they just never get an answer. Like nobody cares.
Yeah, it's one of those things. You know, they say E forever, and then they permaban you. I don't know if a permaban would, in any way, like what case would be a permaban? You know what I mean? Like, let's say GigX, for example. Like, is that a permaban? I mean, that dude is a little crazy and whatnot, and what he did was completely wrong. But wouldn't it be like 5, 6, 7 years? Wouldn't you assume he would maybe change in that time and stuff like this? Like,
Do you want him back? Are you on the record for bringing him back?
The thing is that like he was back several times, right? Like there's no way. Like obviously he created another account, got back. Then people were like, "Wait, this is GigX seeing fleets for this alliance. We're just going to report that he's seeing those fleets." Yeah, and then that guy gets banned, and then he creates a new account and does it again, and blah blah blah. CO2 just ended up joining Horde, right? So now is GigX still playing? Who knows, right? But I don't know. I personally don't think that what he did was a permaban, but I'm also a very relaxed person when it comes to internet, violent language or whatever you want to call it, right? Like I personally have a very,
with it.
Yeah, like I have a very relaxed opinion on it, right? But I know there's a lot of people that had very bad experiences with bullying or something like that in the internet, and those people might feel differently, right? Or if you get accused of, or if you get threats or something, you might. And the thing is, right? Like, and it's different from person to person. So I don't want to call out the judge or something, but I got threats as well. Like there was time during my peak in EVE when when we after World War B, and then we went after CO2, we went after a lot of alliances. We kind of ruled EVE for a while there before Goons got their power back and everything, right? There was a time where people sent me messages, but I never report them because I don't take them very seriously, and I have a very thick skin when it comes to that, right? When people send me messages like, "Oh, I know where you live in Germany," like I literally had people message me, tell me my city that I live in, which was the correct city, because I'm not very secretive about it. Like my entire corp knows where I live, and probably half the alliance. People know where I live if they really want to, and I never really feel scared about it. So I just whatever, I ignored those threats because I knew 99% of those people are never going to follow up on a threat like that. It's such a small chance of somebody actually showing up at your door, and I don't know. So that's why I never really take those things too seriously. So if GigX would have said something like that to me, I would have never reported them personally. But that's just my personality, right? And I understand that there's different people, and that's fine. But I don't think it was worth a permaban.
Well, it's been years too, so I wonder. I think that's the point Pando's making. Like, if EVE
I
is
think
forever,
if he'd start playing now, unless people really push for him to get banned again, I don't think anyone's going to care.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated issue, right? I don't want to suggest I know the answer to this. Like, it might just be, I think that wasn't the first time he did fucked up stuff, right? So
Right, it wasn't the first time.
might just be the right call. But I'm just saying, the ban politics, there might be some room
weird.
for improvement.
I think if you're looking at his case and you think back about history, it's like looking at Tom and Jerry, which is a cartoon that was made in or let's do a bigger one, like Mickey Mouse, right? You look at Mickey Mouse and it's a wholesome thing. It represents a certain thing. But if you go back far enough, you see that there was a lot of like racist
stuff.
Yeah,
yes.
racist stuff.
Very, very much.
Yeah, and it's like, what do we do with that? Because it had a context. People were a lot more, I don't know, permissive, or they just didn't realize it was a bad thing, or the culture has changed. And so if you take that and you look at EVE Online, there's a time where FCs were, and players in general, were pretty brutal to one another, more so than usual, or at least more so than now. Now it's kind of mellowed out quite a bit. So he's an old school guy talking like an old school guy in a new world.
Yeah, I think it has to do a lot with internet culture in general as well, right? Because the whole topic has been pushed so much lately in the last couple of years. The whole, like equalizer. No, all the words. I haven't spoken English in so long because it's so weird. Like I lose all the words that I need for like a good sentence. It sucks. I need to talk more English again. But yeah, in general, like the whole. Yeah, like the whole thing with internet cyberbullying, right, and crimes committed through the internet, it got a lot more prominent in the last couple of years when these incidents happen where people commit suicide over being bullied 24/7 and with all the social media. That wasn't a thing back when EVE was in its early days, right? And Gegex was very much a person that started in a time like when that kind of thing, when the internet was a far more raw place, right? Like now the internet is being monitored by so many different entities because it's also become such a big like investment for big companies, right? Like the internet is being used for commercials left and right now, so everybody has to be careful how they present themselves. Back in 2005, 6, 7, the internet wasn't that developed yet, right? Like there wasn't that much stuff going on in the internet, and now it's a completely different environment. So obviously now you have to be a lot more careful with how you present yourself in the internet and in a big community like the EVE community as well, for example.
Definitely. We got 15 minutes left before CCP comes online, right? Am I right about that? 15 minutes until CCP announces the winners to CSM15. So let's turn our attention to that in this last few minutes.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. So they're about to announce CSM15, Killah B. You've been in this position right before it's announced who won. What's it like?
Well, so the first year I wasn't 100% sure that I was going to get elected, so I was obviously a little bit nervous. But the second year I was sure that I was going to get elected, so I wasn't nervous. So it's a bit different, obviously. But yeah, it's a weird feeling. It's a bit like, I don't know. I guess I never really played in a football club or something. It's not like, I don't know what it feels like right before you go out on the field, right? But I imagine it's something like that. It's cool. Yeah. It's very nice when you see your name on the list and you know that you got elected, especially for the first time, because you don't know what to expect, right? You don't know what the CSM is. It's really exciting. They make you sign this NDA. It's also official, right? And it's like, whoa, I'm gonna see like all the internal workings now and everything. So yeah, it's cool. It's very fun.
Well, we also have other CSM members in here now, Olmeca, Gold, and Vily, who both were high winners. All three of you guys were pretty high winners last time around. Vily, Olmeca, what do you think in these last 15 minutes people are they doing? Pacing back and forth? Are they nervous?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on the people. So as Killah said, if you're a strong candidate from, say, null block, we can also muster a lot of votes, then I guess you should be less nervous. But I remember last year, my experience was I just didn't know. I mean, I had anticipations, I had some guesstimations, but I didn't know like it could have been 500 votes, it could have been 4,000 votes. I didn't know what I was going to get, and it was very interesting.
And they announced you last on purpose, I think, because you were the big surprise.
Yeah, big surprise, and I guess the you know how they say, the wild card. So I actually got a lot of votes, but they announced me the last. I thought maybe I barely made it, and that was what I was expecting. If I make it, I was expecting to barely make it, but it looked like it was a more successful campaign than I anticipated. And I bet there's a lot of people here right now among the candidates, not here, but among the candidates that have similar feelings. Some of them, if they make it, it's going to be really close.
Well, I don't know who it was from CCP who tweeted it out or whatever. He said they're preparing the data and all that stuff, and there's going to be some surprises. So I'm not sure if that's surprises in terms of who got elected or if they have surprises. But yeah, let's see, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was CCP Dopamine. He said, he tweeted something like, "You won't believe this," or something like that. But I guess it's generic hype creation. We'll see.
I think it's hype creation because they originally had that in the dev blog for the streams about a week back, whilst voting was still going on. So it's like they couldn't have known results then.
Julia win, so all is good.
You're not helping my nerves.
Well,
oh my god, this is going to be amazing.
Does anyone have a list of like predictions? Because I had to figure it out because of the stream I'm doing right after. I had to kind of figure out who I think is going to be on just to prepare and stuff.
Dude, and
So
before it's got a completely different list of people and you're not prepared at all? What are you going to do then?
I just prepared like more than enough, but
okay.
I can adjust on the go, on the fly.
You're going live 1930, right? So like half
Probably.
an hour. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be
TCP stream is ending.
I feel like it's going to be more null heavy this year, but maybe more diverse inside nullsec. Maybe I wonder if the frat candidate will get in.
Yeah, same. Like that is actually really interesting to me as well because NC Dot doesn't really have that strong of a candidate this year. Like he's obviously on our number one, but he didn't get on very high spots in any of our allies ballots. So I feel like we kind of have one less spot this year, like the Pandafam part. So I'm wondering if the FRT candidate will get on because he was number one on FRT and number two on Horde, I think. So that's a lot of votes if all those people vote that way. So I think that that person has very good chances. Like I said, our candidate, I don't think he was on any valuable spot except on ours. And NC.'s voting turnouts are, generally speaking, usually very poor. Both years I got elected, most of my votes came from allies, not from my own alliance. So, you know,
really?
that's, you know, NC. just, the thing is the general member base of NC. just doesn't like care about the CSM. It has something to do with Vince's attitude towards it as well. Vince isn't a very CSM friendly person. So, and obviously he still pings like, hey, please vote for these people. But obviously you notice that he doesn't really care that much who gets on or who doesn't.
But
so
if
that
you take
translates to a lot of us.
If you take a guess, is a Blazing Bunny, is he gonna get on?
No, I don't think so, to be honest. Because he's only
question.
number one on ours. He's only number one on ours, and he did not make any other top 3 spots, I think, on any other ballot. He's like number 5 on Horde. I don't even know what PL did this year. And he is not very high up on FRT or test neither. Not the test is part of Pandafam, but you know, he's like, I think, somewhere on the test ballot. So I don't think Blazing has a very good chance of getting in.
He's number 14 on my prediction list.
Oh, okay.
Number 14?
Wait, 14? Yeah. How many people are getting on? 10?
10.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
What are your predictions, guys? Let's go through some of those. Vily, you have
the wild card. Oh, sorry.
Well, there's a couple really secure predictions, right?
Right.
Like Goblins,
Yeah.
Then the Goon candidates, Anominate and Magician, pretty safe predictions. I think Brisk is a safe prediction
Yeah,
too.
probably. Yeah.
Then obviously Vily, right? You're gonna make it. And then it's getting interesting. Like when you say, for example, Blazing Bunny is not getting on because NC has a not so active attitude to it, or whatever you want to call it, then that would mean definitely Maria Taylor, which is the fraternity candidate, would
Mhm.
get on, who's also on my list anyway.
Which
because
is
I think
exciting
fraternity
anyways,
is probably
right?
going to be fraternity is going to be way up there with the numbers, I believe. But I don't know. I mean, like in terms of percentage, who's going to vote?
I don't even know who else ran. Like, I know that a bunch of Imperium people are going to get on. I knew Garvin's Vily were going to get on Brisk. And like, I know Laura Secco is running, but I don't know how combined the wormhole community is behind.
Yeah, not really combined at the
So
moment.
the real white card to me this year is Icarus Cecile, who is like from HiSec, but they managed to grow an entity that's as big as like 20,000 characters, which is close to Horde. So it's going to be really interesting if that guy and
Three-quarters
his
of those are inactive, though.
yeah, I mean,
we
yeah,
assume.
sure.
We don't
It's
know.
HiSec, it's new players. Maybe the voting conversion will be lower, but it's going to be interesting.
I heard a character, the guy that does Weeb Fleet, Cero, I think, bought like something like 700 votes. No, that's just a rumor. Somebody told me yesterday. I don't know if it's
from traders.
Yeah, from vote traders. He bought like 700 first place votes or something. You think that'll make a difference?
700 is a good number. I mean, it might just make the difference, yeah. Depending on what else
It
you
will
got.
hold
700
him
alone.
in there. Sorry, it'll hold him in there to see if transfers.
Well, and as far as I know, votes this year are like the purchasable votes are much cheaper. So it's going to be interesting if that
Yeah,
changes.
the ones I saw was like 10 million or something per vote, which is a joke, right?
It's a god.
Yeah,
That's
I saw some dudes selling them for 10 million a vote. I was like, what the fuck? 10 million is like, holy shit.
Well, the problem is this year, the people who needed the votes couldn't buy them, and the people who wanted the vote or could buy the votes didn't need them. So
Yeah.
it created this dynamic where there was very little, vote selling market.
Market pressure on political corruption.
And plus,
it's a buyer's market.
CCP gave away a lot of SP at the exact time where it's going to be a CSM election, and that means you can online your alts and just farm the SP and get the free SP, and then the alts are already free, so you don't have to pay out of pocket to online them in the first place. So whatever you get for the votes is just extra.
But so there are a couple candidates though that I think are a little shaky. I mean, Exuki, I'm not entirely sure like how many of the Init guys are voting. Then we've got Loro Seco, and then I think these guys split the Wormhole community a little bit, right? So I hope one of them gets on because you need at
But
least one
how
Wormhole
can the
guy, right?
wormhole community work for Exuki when he's like in it? I don't get.
Well, now he is in it, but I think a lot of wormholers. I mean, it's not like he joined in it and lost all his wormhole knowledge, right?
His
Yeah,
memory
that's
got
true,
lost.
I guess. Yeah, that's true. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Ig, I don't know how to say his name. Ixcool says, "Isn't that against the EULA?" I imagine vote buying. He's asking, is vote buying against the EULA?
It's not.
It's not.
You would think.
It's totally,
you would think
totally acceptable.
100% legal.
Completely allowed. You can do it out in the open. No one will.
You don't have to hide, so it's not.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky. It's kind of tricky to get like a one person, one vote system, because then CCP would have to discern people's accounts, and then people can work around that, right? If you register under a different name, different mail, and then that would give an advantage to people who actually illegally work around that. So it's kind of very hard to implement a system where every person gets a vote instead of every character. And also there's the other argument where if I have two characters, maybe I deserve two votes. I don't buy that argument, but it's there.
Yeah. All right, some further predictions. Who do you think are going to be some surprises?
I hope
Any
Panda
surprises?
might, and maybe January is here. Maybe January made it.
I'm wondering whether
Stitch was.
Torvald.
I hope it isn't a pure null block CSM, whereas every single entity has a tie to the null areas. I hope there's people from wormholes. I hope there's people from low sec. I hope there's people from other areas of Eve than just null in this CSM, like there was last year.
All right, we're 5 minutes away from finding out. By the way, go ahead.
I'm pretty confident Loris is probably sitting right on the 10-11 bubble, so there's definitely a very good shot that wormholes have a candidate. I think Phantomite has been kind of raised up as the go-to low sec candidate, which has a high likelihood of happening, and I've definitely got him, in the mix as a very high likelihood. After that, obviously, it becomes very questionable where the candidates are coming from. I don't see a ton of easy to identify candidates. I mean, Icarus has already been brought up as a very likely high sec candidate. It's a very wild card kind of vote because traditionally, the markets where you haven't seen votes come from before, it's much like real life politics. If it's not a traditional voting block, as much as people want it to be a thing, you generally can't treat it as one until you see it come out and vote. And I would expect that to be much the case, like we will see today. Mike Azaria, I feel like definitely has a chance from HiSec as well. He's a very well-known quantity, and there's definitely a significant pile of the Steve Ranukin votes and voter block that definitely could be falling directly to him. So we'll see about that.
Vily, I'd say with that one, same rule as kind of what you said with Icarus applies. It's not a guarantee that Steve votes go to Mike. It's just they are very similar people. Might well happen.
2-minute warning.
No guarantee.
We have 2 minutes before CCP starts their stream. We'll move over to there before they start. We'll wrap up predictions here. Some surprises from the rest of you guys.
Well, Stitch and Insidious Stitch was last year. He was decent. So if he improved, maybe that's going to happen. And I mean, so we counted 6 null block guaranteed candidates, and then the rest can be all null block or no null block, depending on who makes the better performance. So it's going to be very interesting.
I think Stitch, because like last year, we talked about that last year, we pushed for Stitch with like all the init votes. I think that's why he did fairly well. I don't want to like take the credit from him, but there's a fair chance that his votes are going to be way less this year.
Yeah.
I feel like Phantomite just ate up the entire low sec lane, and it's going to be really hard for anybody to step outside it in this time.
Yeah, I hope. Yeah. I hope. Yeah.
Get hyped. 1 minute to CCP starting their stream. We'll move over there in just a second. Anybody else? January, if you're in here, are you nervous?
Not really. It's pretty, I don't know. I've tried to go into this pretty realistic. I did not get as much support as I thought on the other nullsec blocks. The Matani was really gracious and put me on his ballot, but I thought I would see more from the others, given how connected we've been the last couple of years. But at the end of the day, whatever.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else in here running for CSM? Where are you guys mentally? I guess they're unconscious mentally. Well, listen, thanks, Killah B, Pando, and everybody else, Vily, Olmeca, January, everybody else in here. Thanks for joining us. We're going to move over to CCP right now. I'm going to go ahead and raid over there. But I wanted to make sure that you knew that right after the announcement from CCP, they're going to go through some statistics. They're going to go over to Pando's channel and do some post getting to know you for CSM. So don't miss that. Thank you guys very much. We'll go ahead and move over there now.
All right. Thanks. See ya.
Nice. They're live and can't hear anything.
Yeah, rating.
Classic.
3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here you go.